last week in episode 5, our cast of characters had successfully completed their task. They turned in the man known as Eldwin Morville to Brill, the connection of Carver's. And so with that, their business with Brill, at least for the time being, was done. After which, they returned to the loft, having discussions about what was the next step. Where would they go? What would they do? Would they work together? Would they go their own separate ways? And throughout the night, this conversation continued, here and there. Anytime they had a moment sort of alone, they would end up having this discussion. And at least for the time being, it seems like our characters are resolved that there is strength in numbers, and that even though they may not trust each other completely, at least for the time being, it would benefit them all to appear, at least, as a group. And so with that, they continued their night. Eventually, Blinder happened upon, or shall we say they happened upon him, a man by the name of Malone LaRoche, an Eruvian man who apparently was a representative of an organization known as the Red Sashes, which is a faction based out of the Crowsfoot district of town. Through their conversations and in no small part a bit of hostile negotiations, shall we say, Blinder agreed to travel with him to meet his boss. Upon the information being shared that Mercy was somehow involved, the entire group agreed to come with. So they made their way there and interacted with these individuals. It turned out that the person in charge was a lieutenant of the Red Sashes by the name of Madame Rowan. Madame Rowan, although did not speak herself, she seemed to communicate to Malone through sign language. And through this, Malone acted as her sort of voice, her speaker. They were offered an opportunity, although they had presumed originally that this band of Eruvians meant them ill. It seemed that at least this small group of Eruvians, as had been explained, wished to help Blinder in some way. They shared that they believed that there was much to be gained should they keep Blinder safe and away from the people who hunt him, but that there were also others within their same organization that saw the opposite side of the coin. And so for at least for the time being, because both there seemed to be some semblance of respect between not only Madame Rowan, but also between Malone LaRoche and Mercy, some sort of familial connection. And so because of this debt that they said that they may have owed to her, they assisted our characters. They provided them with a safer place to stay, a place that no longer smells, shall we say. They were brought to a barge and were offered to stay there for the evening, told that tomorrow perhaps would be the day that they would actually discuss what sort of jobs our cast of characters might be interested in performing for the Red Sashes in order to acquire more, or perhaps just put some coin in their pocket. And so with that, we begin tonight with a dream. Ezra had gone to bed early, even though he had woken up at the invitation of the rest of the characters late into the night after a great degree of drinking by all of them. There was a party that had gone on, and Ezra had excused himself originally. Afterwards, he joined in, he had a few drinks, and eventually found himself fast asleep in his room by himself. As he fell deep into the sleep, he imagined in his head all of these visions, all of these experiences he had had, the whispering, the strange experience in the Ashland Wharf. And as he fell into sleep, a picture was left in his mind. He's standing in the desert, a silhouette of some creature standing before him, staring at a campfire. Deep in his dream, he finds himself walking along a railway. The sun, although not bright, burns the sand. He's struggling to walk as though limping, pulling himself along. There's blood trickling down his arms in droplets from his fingertips falling into the sand. And as though he is both there experiencing this and watching it happen, his view moves to behind this person walking, from a perspective of the droplets falling from their fingertips into the sand. His vision moves from that point to a city. Duskfall, presumably. He sees the streets of Brightstone, vibrant and white, beautiful, opulent. Electricity glowing from lanterns, carriages of great value traveling to and fro, people dressed to the nines in the absolute pinnacle of fashion. They laugh and they walk to and from houses, into parties, and he finds himself standing before a house, a simple 2-story house. And as he watches, he sees a man leave the carriage. The carriage pulls up. The man steps out, offering his hand up. He helps a woman, presumably his wife, and 2 small children leave the carriage. He guides them inside, and as he opens the door, Ezra's vision moves past, and he sees, almost as though time is slipping forward consistently, he sees a cycle of days and nights of the children playing and moving through the house, of the man working diligently at his desk, interacting with his wife, or having dinner. And then all at once, the brilliant light comes crashing down as darkness descends across the house inside, like veins of ink washing over the walls, falling down, and in the very center of this darkness, as these veins of ink come cascading down the walls, it forms a web around him, around these people, and a spider, a silhouette, a shadow, sits at the very center of it. He hears a voice whispering from the darkness. Ezra. Ezra. He feels a hand reach out behind him and grasp his shoulder as he's woken up. Mercy is standing over him. Ezra. Ezra, are you okay?
Yes. Sorry, I was having trouble in sleep. It's not used to the sleeping on a boat. What time is it?
It's still late in the evening. You've only been asleep a few hours.
Oh.
You were making noise and moaning. I thought you were sick, perhaps, or something.
Maybe it's... I don't... Is there... Thank you for,
Are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. I was just tossing and turning. It happens.
You want some water, maybe?
Maybe
bread?
some tea. Do you have a...
I can go make some tea.
Yeah, I'd quite appreciate that.
And she leaves, gets up, leaves the space, heads off towards the like kitchen area, which is basically the same space that you guys had found all the alcohol and things like that.
As soon as she leaves,
Mm-hmm.
like he'll wait and listen. Understandably, I assume Mercy's pretty quiet, but like still he'll like listen to make sure she's walking down.
Yeah,
and
she does have very light footfalls, but on the barge of the ship, it's hard to hide your footfalls because there's always this sort of rocking, creakingness going on, you know?
Yeah. So he'll reach over and look through. He hasn't really looked through his room too much, but he'll look for anything that's a writing utensil, like ink and quill,
Sure.
or a pen,
Sure.
and a piece of paper, and he'll start jotting down as much as he can remember. Because it's a dream, so
Sure.
he'll start writing down all the things.
Mm-hmm.
That he saw in the dream, like, and then when he hears her return, he'll hurriedly like realize that she's almost at the door, not hearing her.
She's gone a few
and
minutes, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like crumple up the paper and stuff it in his nightshirt pocket, or I'd assume he wouldn't have like a nightgown or anything like that. He would just basically want to sleep in his normal clothes, basically.
Yeah. Sure.
His wrinkled undershirt.
And maybe he took his jacket off. He can just sort of hide it in his jacket or something. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
She's gone for water boiling on a kettle takes somewhere around 15 minutes, so he has plenty of time to write down. I mean, unless he's going into vast detail, which I presume he is, he's able to write down the vast majority of it within that 15 minutes without her even really noticing, And during that time, while he's listening, because I presume he's paying attention, trying to make sure that she's not coming in behind him to see him do this, he hears footfalls in the room next to his, like someone is pacing, whispering. Yeah, like whispering unintelligibly.
He'll
like almost like
get it. He'll get up and he'll lean in and try to listen and try to picture what's happening, to try to get an idea of what's going on in the room next to him.
In the room next to him, the door is closed. There seems to be a faint blue glow emanating underneath the crack of the frame of the door. And he hears that whispering inside, as well as silhouetted movement inside, like something is moving around in there.
He'll crack open the door.
He walks over and opens it. And as he peers inside, he sees Carver standing there, pacing back and forth, not really looking at anything. He's just sort of lost, just not there. And he's mumbling something.
He'll close the door very silently.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
right.
There is the one part that I missed was that the necklace is glowing again.
It's glowing again.
Yes, and that's the faint blue glow that you had seen underneath the doorframe.
He'll close the door.
Okay.
And then he'll bang on it. Like knock.
Okay.
Mr. Carver! Mr. Carver!
Does that
Carver,
wake me out of my stupor?
Yeah, you wake up, and you're
I
standing
scream there. Like this horrific, like, pained scream. And then I yell out, "They're gone again!"
You hear that inside.
And then you'll just hear the sound of Carver crumpling to the floor as if like his body just drops.
He'll keep knocking. Like, Mr. Carver?
All you can hear from the inside is just like this tormented sobbing.
How loud are you knocking, by the way, Blinder?
Pretty loud. Pretty loud.
Okay. I was just wondering.
And then he'll crack open the door and poke his head in. Is the glowing still there?
No, it seems to be gone.
And he'll try to put on
Like
his
once
best
you. Oh, sorry to
face,
interrupt you. Please continue.
and he'll be like, "Would you like some tea?" Oh, uh, terribly sorry.
Carver doesn't even stop. He just doesn't react. He's just laying there sobbing uncontrollably.
Okay. And I'll shut the door.
Mercy comes walking down the hall at this point. Is everything okay, Blinder?
Don't know. I think Mr. Carver has some sort of night sleepwalking
Oh,
situation.
I heard some yelling.
I think I've never lived with any. Yes, I think it was sleepwalking. I'm definitely quite sure.
Okay.
We should do our best to not call attention to it.
Sure. I'll make him some tea too. She says as she.
Yes.
You can see she's holding a steaming cup of tea, presume, and then
Yes.
she walks from that point because she was like near the door of your room because you're like one room down, and they're not too far apart, right? Like 5-ish plus feet. She walks into your room and sets it down on the table. The table is set between the two bunk beds. There's bunk beds on either side for crew. And she sets it down on the little table in the very center and back area.
He'll sit down and pick up exactly two lumps of sugar and
Sure. Yeah, it's on like a
some
little
honey.
tray, and there's some sugar and things there.
Mhm.
Little carafe of like cream.
Yeah, he takes it. He picks up a very practiced and ritualized fashion. Sets his tea down, puts the 2 lumps of sugar into it, a tiny bit of honey, sets it off to the side, folds a napkin, put it off, and then he'll pick up the tea and sip it, only paying attention to the tea at this point,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then be like, it's been quite some time. I don't. Mr. Carver seems to be might have some issues. I really want to stress. I don't know much about sleepwalking, but typically it's not good to call attention to these things.
Of
From
course.
what I understand, we may have to see about maybe making sure that he doesn't harm himself. I think that's the biggest situation.
Okay. Well, I'll go make some tea for him. Why don't you seem like you're having a rough night. Why don't you just get some more sleep? Drink that tea.
Yes.
I'll come back in and check on you in a few hours when everybody else starts waking up.
What's the quality of the tea? Just as a side.
It's pretty high.
Like top level. Okay, so he's like,
yeah, it's really good.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is.
It's
what
like
I
it was
want.
obvious. There's a tiny bit of the loose leaf in there. Like because they don't have tea bags in this.
Yeah.
area. They use the little like miniature strainer sort of things. But it's definitely a high quality loose leaf tea.
Yeah.
It seems to be a very nice blend. It has a tiny bit, it's kind of like a cinnamon note to it or something, which is very, very rare. Cinnamon and things of that nature. Produce in general, other than mushrooms, which grow naturally in the dark. Anything that requires actual sunlight in the world of Duskfall and the world in general, generally is very difficult to grow and requires what is known as radiant plants in order to grow them, like a source of sunlight. So it's very, very, very expensive.
Yeah.
And so because of that, when you happen upon these sorts of things, it is a sort of not to say once in a lifetime experience, but it's that sort of rareness to it, right? Unless you are the 1% or even the wealthy elite in a sense, these sorts of things aren't normal or often. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So Mercy leaves and heads back into what you presume is back to where she was, the kitchen area. And a few minutes later, you see her walk by and knock gently on Carver's door.
So Carver will open the door. His face is just absolutely red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I made you some tea, she says, handing you a plate with some sugars on it, things.
And
I don't know if you
he'll-
took cream, but I can bring some.
This is fine. Thank you for your thoughtfulness.
Yeah, no problem. And she passes you the tea and then gives you a nod and then walks away, giving you privacy, presumably. Is what
Yep.
Keep in mind, the other cast members, because of the noise that Carver let out upon waking out, you're more than welcome to also have woken up at this point and be, sort of like, what the fuck is going on? That sort of thing. But it's up to you. I know Carver or Martin had explained before that he sleeps like a log. So
he is a pretty heavy sleeper. That's why I was going to ask roughly what time of the night or day is it?
As I said, it's only been about 3 hours since everybody stopped partying. So at this point, it's probably like, I want to say 6-ish in the morning, nearly.
Oh,
It's pretty early.
well, that means Martin is up working out
Oh, okay.
because he generally gets up at 5:36, gets his little morning routine on,
Even after a night of hard drinking?
even after a night of hard drinking.
Oh, okay, sure.
He takes his physique very, very seriously.
Oh, okay.
That requires maintenance.
Sure, yeah.
Reaper is passed the fuck out.
Okay. So a few minutes later, you
Right.
hear a rap on each of your doors, obviously on Reaper's door, but Reaper doesn't wake up. And then, a few seconds later, or a minute or so later, you hear a rap on your door, Martin.
Oh. Huh? Who is it?
It cracks open. Hey, I got a kettle going, says Mercy.
Oh,
I'm also probably going to make some food here in a bit. I'm a little hungry myself. You want something?
awesome. I got about, 10, 15 sets to do left. I will catch you up in a minute. And the whole time that he's talking to her, he's on his hands doing handstand push-ups.
Oh, jeez.
But
Okay.
he stops at full extension to have this little conversation with her.
Okay.
Realizes he doesn't want to hurt his shoulder, so he kind of rolls down.
Sure.
And he's like, I can skip it today. Drank way too much last night.
Yeah, I left
So-
you a glass of water on the nightstand.
Yeah, I know. I saw. I drank it. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
For
No
that.
problem.
Oh,
You can see, as you look over, you may have noticed it before, but just to sort of reiterate, Mercy had slept in the same room as you, just on the opposite side of the room in the other bunk, and the bunk is set pristinely, almost like military, that sort of thing. Was made pristinely, so it looks like pretty much no one has even slept there, really.
right. My bed's all fucked up, and the
Oh,
sheets
sure.
are off, and
Sure.
the pillow's half unstuffed.
Sure.
There's probably a hole in it with whatever's in it kind of poking out of the pillow
Yeah.
because he chews on stuff in his sleep.
Yeah, I feel like Martin is probably one of those guys that right as he wakes up, he gets up, stretches, and then does that fall forward into a push-up, and then just starts doing push-ups, that sort of thing.
That
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Maybe he has something to drink beforehand, like some juice if he has some on hand, or water or
get
something.
some water.
Yeah.
Get some water or some tea or some kind of liquid
Yeah.
going. Well, if you can find it, coffee. But that was like a one-time thing a couple years back.
Sure.
But yeah, so it's like finishes the routine
Yeah.
that he normally does, gets himself dressed and primed and everything, and
There is a
Projects
bathroom.
everywhere.
There is a bathroom that you all have been using.
then
Yeah.
we're having a shave.
Yeah.
We're on a
there's
ship. It's called a bilge.
A bilge, pardon me. Yeah. There's a bilge. It is a multi-sink. It's sort of, think of like a basin sink in front of like a
Oh.
area of mirrors.
I don't know if you want to make me.
Oh, go ahead. What?
I was gonna say I don't know if you want me to make a roll to see if I cut the fuck out of myself shaving on a boat, but
I mean, it's not that choppy.
right. Yeah, no. So he does his morning routine,
Mhm.
which takes about half an hour
Sure.
to really get going and get himself clean, get the suit on, get it straight, get the buttons right, maybe do a little sewing on a button if it needs it. And and then he'll come out and start trying to help Mercy make breakfast.
Sure.
You need something cut?
You come out and it looks like she's scrambled some eggs. Has some like sort of toast going on like a skillet thing that's set over a open sort of flame thing, you know. Think like charcoal briquettes, but you know, like more primitive. There's an open there's a flue and then an open window nearby, and so there's a sort of tufts of smoke going out of it.
Awesome.
And so there seems to be like some eggs and some toast going. Mostly just
Awesome.
protein and carbohydrates, kind of a thing.
Right.
There is a basin of what seems like fresh fruit sitting in a bowl on a sort of the bar area that's been set out.
Grabbing some grapes, eating them. Look over at Mercy. You need a hand in there, or you got it?
There's not a lot of room in here. You know, it's a very narrow space for cooking. It's definitely meant for like one person, probably.
Right. So this whole thing is too small for me.
Generally, yeah.
So I'm kind of hunched over.
Well, no, it's tall enough that you don't hit your head on the ceiling, but I mean like narrow. Think everything's narrow, right?
Right.
Yeah. Kind of one of those occasionally through doors you might actually have to turn sideways because of how big you are, you know, kind of thing. Like, oh, excuse me, you know.
Are Blinder and Carver out here at this time?
I'm not sure. Well, we can check in with them.
That's why I was asking them.
Yeah. Blinder is still in his room, or has he come
No,
out
he's sitting in the common area.
Okay.
And he's just sitting there. When Martin comes in, he's just like nods, you know, how you doing? But he seems completely focused on the tea, and he looks like he's thinking. He's just kind of like, he'll take a sip and he'll close his eyes and be like, and then put it back down and refill the cup, and he's going through basically.
Oh, good.
You're going through like basically a practiced
Sure.
motion of drinking and internal reflection.
Has he had any of the food that Mercy prepped for him?
He has had a scone.
Oh, okay. Sure.
We'll
say there's a couple scones in a thing.
Yeah, it's just a scone and maybe he'll have a tiny bit of bacon and things like that, but nothing too heavy.
We're having actual bacon?
Well, I thought she said she had bacon or something like that, right?
Wait, we can say there's bacon. Well, we'll say there's enough for everybody to have a strip of bacon.
Yeah. Okay. It's some fruit and things like that. It's very light. He's eating very lightly, mostly nibbling, only in between. He looks like he's taking a drink of water to cleanse his palate, and then he goes back to drinking his tea.
Yeah.
So is Carver out and about, or is he still in his room?
Carver is out on deck.
Okay,
so you don't see him.
Right. Hey, Blinder. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'd like to apologize for myself and how I treated you initially. You're small. You're fragile. I get it. Not to say that you can't or won't hurt anyone. But I don't know. I feel that I came off kind of strong. And I apologize for that. But that being said, what the fuck do you do? Like, what do you do to make money? What's your specialty? What's your thing? Like mine? Mine's hurting people.
He looks visibly irritated that he's being talked to right now. But he sets his teacup down and he regards Martin for a moment, and he's just like,
and hey, Martin is just absentmindedly eating grapes.
There's a number of questions. I am homeless. Well, I was homeless. I can read.
Oh, good.
Yes, and I think that's about all. I don't really. You wish to define me by a set of skills.
No, I
And
can't.
what's more, you're assuming that I am not willing, or can I have the ability to hurt people, which is interesting.
Well, if it comes down to it, I need to know if you're gonna fight or if you're gonna cut and run.
I will do what I have to do.
Hey, that's an acceptable answer. But what I'm more asking about is if we're gonna go into this thing of doing stuff for money, I'd like to know what people's capabilities are. That way we know. That way we know what kind of work we're looking for.
I am I don't quite know. This is all very new to me.
Yeah, I can tell the way your prissy ass is drinking that tea. I'm just saying, like, pinky out and everything. Come on, have some
Sorry.
class.
Some people didn't have the luxury of having such things. You can deride it all you want, but I can still appreciate. How about this? You get an appreciation from clothing, yes?
Have an appreciation of clothing, yeah.
Good. You can have your appreciation. I'll have mine.
Okay.
But as far as what I do, I will make myself useful. And if you wish me to do something that I cannot do, I will. I am a responsible enough adult to admit when I cannot do something, or if I might have difficulty doing something.
Right. So your offer is you do stuff. That's not a. It's not very strong. That's just saying that you have some things like. That doesn't tell me anything.
How about this? Should you require me to do something, can simply ask, I would like you to do this. And if I cannot, I'll tell you.
All right.
But
All
I
right.
don't think the measure of a person should be weighed in what they can or cannot do. And honestly, well, I seem to do a little bit more. Never mind. I'm going to go back to my tea. Thank you very much.
All right. Enjoy it.
And he looks just completely annoyed. He's like, was a little visibly upset that you were interrupting his ritual. Now he's just like, fuck this guy. I'm just going to fucking drink my tea.
And Martin, who is sitting with his feet up, with his boots up on the table, is just like eating grapes, and every now and again kind of side eyes fucking Blinder, and just gives him a little smirk while he's eating a grape. Just. Okay.
Is Mr. Carver in the room?
No,
He's up on deck.
Still out of sight, yeah.
He'll visibly put his annoyance aside and get really serious for a second, and then get up and scooch closer to Martin. He's like, Mr. Carver. He seems to have a sleepwalking episodes. By the way, I don't think we should draw attention to it. It's from what I understand, not being a medical professional, it could be very dangerous too.
Okay, like is he like walking around killing people?
No, but I think we should probably make sure that Mr. Carver doesn't have too much ability to walk around and put himself in danger. We are in a ship.
Eh. Well, his problems are his problems until they become my problems.
Good to know.
Just like your problems are your problems until they become mine. And when things become my problem, people get hurt.
Does that always work for you? Intimidating people.
Oh, intimidating people, I can generally say, is the case. Especially when I threaten to do to them what I have already done to other people.
Hmm. Interesting.
Well, when you beat a guy almost to death with your bare hands, you get a reputation of being able to do that.
I would imagine you do.
But, I don't know. You seem alright. You're a little, I don't know, too sketchy. But other than that, you're alright.
Sketchy?
Yeah, you kind of wig out and kind of... You don't really have a good way to talk to people. You know, you talk choppy and stuff.
You hear
But I can understand.
Mercy loudly sort of like scoff. Like, what?
Hey, this is my browbeaten. Leave me to it.
Can I just interrupt you for a second, Martin? Mercy says.
Huh? What's up?
You're calling him inept, and yet you are literally sitting here insulting him, saying that he's not good with people, and yet your go-to move is to kind of be an asshole. Maybe rethink your tactics a little.
I'm not offended by Mr. Martin, but thank you.
That's all well and good. I'm just trying to point out to Martin here that there's more ways to talk to people than just treating them kind of like dirt. You know what I mean?
I am not familiar with how what you are used to, Mercy, but I do understand why he does it. It is very... no offense to you, Mr. Martin. It is very typical for one who comes up with what I imagine to be your circumstances of upbringing.
My circumstances of what?
You are familiar with the streets, yes?
Isn't everybody? We walk them all the same.
Yes. That it might be. But particularly, I imagine that you gained that familiarity over time and maybe grew up on the streets. Bravado.
Well, I mean, I lived in a house.
I
grew
lived
up in a house.
Yes. Bravado is a common thing. That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Especially for the youth. Establishing one's capabilities at physical and physical stature and abilities to inflict violence on other individuals.
Martin, and as you're saying this, Martin kind of gets this weird, semi kind of like glossy-eyed look for half a second. Just kind of like he doesn't understand what you're saying, and his brain is literally trying to work the gears to grasp what you're saying, which then very quickly turns into an eye twitch, and then you see him about to just like break the table in half. And you just...
Mercy chimes in, and she's like, Martin,
I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna go outside now.
Sure.
Stupid people and their smart-ass words. Slams the door behind him.
Reaper will bump into him as he's trying to slam the door, like half asleep.
I presume he's talking about the door out onto the deck?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I can bump into Reaper on the way up on the way up to there.
Sure, yeah.
He's just fuming, pissed, just looking for something to break that isn't too valuable or important to the boat. But he's heading toward the deck.
Morning.
Morning.
That good, huh?
Smart people.
Yes, I remember smart people.
So easy to break, but I don't want to break this one because I think he might be a friend.
Oh, wait, who are you talking about?
Blinder.
Oh.
What were you
Okay.
talking about? Who were you talking about?
I don't know. I just woke up.
Yeah, apparently, Carver walks in his sleep.
That's not good.
So, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe he can go for a swim when he's sleeping. That'd be funny.
Not
Just
if
walk
you
out over a
drowned.
rail. You know? Hell, that'd be funny as hell to see. You made my morning better. Thank you for that. But Martin takes off and continues to head up to deck.
Glad to help. Is there coffee in this universe?
Yes.
Okay. Reaper will walk in. Who
You
is
in
it
fact
that-
had basically
who's
coffee
that?
when you were at the Ashland Wharf. That was the beverage that gave you a zip. Dirty bean water, or whatever you wish to call it.
Is Eunice still in there?
She seems to still be asleep.
Okay. So I will walk into the kitchen area and see if there's any coffee brewing.
There is not. There seems to be a kettle set though, and there is the fixings, the loose leaf sort of fixings for tea.
We're on a ship. It's called a galley.
We can use terms that people understand.
Yeah,
Mr.
okay, Doug. Just because you understand
nautical man over here.
Just because you know science, you think you know boats.
I know science.
I will start looking around for coffee.
Mercy's sort of there cooking, and she's like, "Can I help you?"
Coffee. I'm looking for coffee.
Oh, sure. I'll get some going.
Oh, thank you.
She says, and
I
then she
appreciate this.
reaches in and finds sort of like like a primitive, basically like mason jar with beans in it, and then sets them into what looks like a hand grinder sort of thing, and starts grinding up some of those beans. And then goes through the rest of the preparation. Basically, ends up being sort of a pour over. There's like a mesh sort of top that they put over a cup, and then they pour the hot water over the top of it. And so after a few minutes, you end up having a hot cup of coffee. There's cream and sugar set out nearby the tea kettle.
Is Blinder in the galley?
Yes.
I'll look over at him. What did you say to Martin?
I said I understood people like him.
Oh, he was pretty worked up when he left.
Yes, he seems to be offended by intelligence instead of aspiring to it.
Let's be fair.
I'm sure he told you about. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Martin was acting thuggish, shall we say, like he woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and he started taking it out on Blinder, is what it kind of felt like. And so Blinder simply, in more elegant terms, shall we say, basically pointed out the fact that he was acting like a thug. And so he got upset and he left.
No. Great job.
The entire conversation was a pretext for assessing one another. Mr. Martin wanted to assess what I did, and it resulted in me assessing Mr. Martin. I found that really curious. Oh, by the way, Mr. Carver sleepwalks. I wouldn't mention it to him. It's. We should probably do something about it, though.
How can we do something about it if he doesn't know about it?
I'm saying is It's dangerous, from what I understand, to wake these people or to reference it around them. It can be very difficult because usually it's involving some sort of trauma. We should, however, make sure he doesn't walk off the boat in his sleep.
We should probably lock his door somehow.
I would imagine, and then if he references for safety, and we'll show him that we are locking our doors.
Okay, agreed.
Martin will head up to the deck. And well, are you two finished? Was there more? Okay. Yeah, Martin will head up to the deck, and he's actually out looking for Carver.
You see Carver sitting on the railing, just kind of looking down at the water.
Walks up next to him and be like, you know, a mirror probably gets you a better job.
He kind of looks at you, and then he fumbles with something in his hands, and you see that it is like this like stuffed animal / carved wooden toy.
You like dolls, huh?
No. This belonged to someone important to me.
You would notice as well, Martin, sorry to interrupt, that one half of the doll seems charred and burned. As though it was like, had been on fire at some point and put out or smoldered out or something.
Hey, do you know you sleepwalk?
I'm aware of it.
Oh. Is there things you do to not... I don't know. I've never sleepwalked. I'm just asking.
I've tried multiple solutions. Unfortunately, it's the nightmares that seem to cause it. Never was an issue before.
Nightmares. Nightmare. Wow. You still have nightmares? Are these like...
I recently started having nightmares.
Oh. So they're new. That sucks. Like... Do you want to tell me about them?
They're a bit personal.
Whatever. So, I tried asking Blinder. That's his name, Blinder. I tried asking Blinder this question, but what do you do?
I'm a butcher.
Like, you're a butcher? Like, of people? Or, like, goats and stuff?
Well, the anatomy of a pig isn't that much different than the anatomy of a human.
I like you. Yeah. Well, you being a butcher and all is cool, but, like, if we're gonna be... Like, how are you in a scrap?
Resourceful.
Okay, you a runner?
If I need to.
All right.
Are you looking for something specific?
No, I'm just trying to figure out what things we could be good at together. Because if we're doing this thing, it's better that we all go in knowing what we all can do.
Well, I'm all right at gathering information so far.
Well, all right then. That's good. That's at least something.
I'm also not terrible in a fight. Though I think I could learn a thing from you or Reaper about being a true pugilist?
Well, me, definitely. Not so sure about Reaper. She got a good hook on her, but or like a cross actually. Her crosses are pretty good, but haven't seen the rest of it yet.
I've seen Reaper in action. I think I'm not sure who to put my money on if it came down to a fight between the two of you.
Well, I'll tell you this: if you're looking for precision as a thing, go with Reaper. I'm more like just crushing skulls or breaking bones. Lots of breaking bones. Sorry.
No. Are the others awake yet?
Yeah, they're down having breakfast. You want some bacon? They got bacon.
We have bacon?
We have bacon. It's like a strip, but hey, it's bacon.
Alright.
Come on.
So before you
We'll go
leave,
back down to the galley.
before you both leave, I have a quick thing. Which direction were you facing while you were having this conversation? Were you facing, because you're at an old dock in Crowsfoot, which has a large canalway, like huge canalway that runs, one of the largest canalways that runs through the city. And Crowsfoot is just on the very edge of it, and then there's sections on the other side as well. And so the waterway through here is very wide, meaning that the ocean water mixes more with this with the river water that flows down. River water, unlike the ocean, is actually clear and isn't muddied by this sort of inky blackness that completely smothers out the normal look of the ocean, right? So I was trying to understand, were you guys looking out into the canalway, or were you looking more back towards the docks?
Kind of more back towards the docks.
Okay, so you're more like staring at the water nearby the docks rather than staring like out into the canalway or anything like that. Okay, I was just checking. Totally fine.
We are off of Silk Shore, right? Is that
No,
where
you're at a dock in an old dock in Crowsfoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. Let's get some bread. Let's get some eggs, man. Come on. And bacon.
And I go down to the galley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you head inside. You all grab some food, I presume, for those of you that wish to have food. Time passes as you've all eaten. And then, you're all there, I presume, unless people are avoiding each other. So Mercy at this point has finished cooking, basically, to where there was enough food for everybody. She's like putting things away into the sort of ice box thing that exists. There's no actual ice in it currently, but it seems like like a sealed box. It's rather large. Think of like a how we have those like sitting freezers. Like I know Doug and Angela, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Think of that basically. Like there aren't fridges that stand up. It's like a sitting ice box where everybody keeps stuff. And so, they put the rest of the protocerta back into that to keep it a little safer here. It's not super big. It's like think of like a mini fridge or something like that, right? But with that, you all find yourselves, I presume at this point, within the galley, as Doug had so, had pointed out, and you have eaten, so.
So, Martin.
Yeah.
Did I take it that I disrupted you when I was walking around?
Huh? Oh, what do you mean? For your sleepwalking thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, you didn't disturb me.
Did I disturb either of you?
I heard some commotion. I figured you were up, and when I knocked at the door, I realized that, I thought you may have tripped. When I opened the door, you were upset. I assumed I had woken you up out of your sleepwalking episode.
I thought you weren't going to tell him.
It seems plainly evident if he has acknowledged it that we are.
Oh, were we not supposed to tell him?
No, it's fine.
Oh, my bad. Must have missed that part.
Nope, it's okay. Quite alright.
How about you, Mercy?
What
Did I disrupt you as well?
I was already awake. Eruvians,
Well-
as a people, at least in our country, we wake up much earlier.
I take it
cultural
then,
thing.
by mention of not mentioning this to me, that you were trying to be polite and not bring attention to it. I'll explain it and clear the air right here. I have nightmares, horrible ones. They take me back to a moment in my history in which I was in extreme pain and terror, and it's not fun.
That is. My concern is mostly that you might harm yourself, if you are conscious of the measures that we take to make sure you don't harm yourself, you might inadvertently counter those precautions in your sleepwalking efforts.
I can't say that anything's helped.
Would you mind if I observe? I'm not in any stretch of the imagination a medical professional, but I have read a book or two about similar situations, and I do have the abilities to research. I could maybe attempt to help you. You did come to me for help.
I did. If you have any help to offer, then I'll gladly accept it.
Well, it would seem pertinent since we are spending time in proximity with each other. And it would certainly make sure that you don't hurt yourself. I don't usually sleep much anyway. And when I do, it's usually not very restful.
Same.
Well, I have like the exact opposite problem. When I'm out, I'm out. But I do generally wake up at the same time every day, regardless of how early I go to sleep.
Must be nice.
It sucks, actually. Because sometimes you only get like an hour or two, or, 4 if I'm having a good day.
Yes. Well, we've seemed to have purchased for ourselves a moment of respite.
Who?
Mr. Aldo.
R-
Respite, rest.
Okay.
Mr.
Like,
Aldo.
who are we spiting?
No, respite. Means rest. Yes. We probably should. I assumed we are all sitting here together to discuss what we want to do next.
I mean, that's what I was trying to do, but then you had to get all like smart person on me, and
Martin, Mercy says, like seeming upset,
Sorry.
so cutting you off.
sorry.
Conversations are a two-way street.
Yes, Mom.
She sort of laughs, as I did, and then goes back to putting away food and cleaning up the kitchen.
So, what kind of things would we want to do? I'm in for anything that involves breaking, hurting, otherwise maiming. Smash and grab, debt collecting, things like that. Maybe even just straight up robbing somebody. But I have big plans.
I'm a smash and grab. I'm a mercenary and a bounty hunter of sorts.
Nice. Yep. Well, I'm gonna be a kingpin of this city one day. I'm gonna be one of the noble families.
I'm gonna leave the decision on what we do next up to the rest of you. I need to look into something. Shouldn't take me very long. But I'll be back and hopefully you guys will have discerned what we should do.
What is your motivation for? I understand. Oh, there was individuals who made attempts on you and your loved ones, and were successful partially when the concerns of your loved ones. But other than that, I have a very clear motivation. Somebody is outright seeking me and seems to have a great amount of influence. Mr. Martin seems to have a similar motivation, as with a sizable bounty on their head. And
Sizable? It's not even respectable.
well, and Ms. Reaper here, of course, is the same. Let's go searching through his notes.
I mean, I will say I did hear a really, really weird name. Chael said it. It was something about a Scarlock. I don't know. Did I ask any of you about that or not?
Not to my recollection.
Have I heard that name before?
That's what I'm asking.
Have you, Carver? No.
Okay.
Well, then that's a nothing.
There is one person who has heard the name before, but I presume they're not going to mention it.
Well, I guess that's a non-thing then. I will state outright, though, that if I catch wind of where Amanda has gone, like, unless we're on the job, I'm off to go look at that.
Your motivation was quite established. You are seeking your loved one. I appreciate that.
She's the only family I got that's worth a fuck anyway.
I believe the question is, well, we need to acquire a living for ourselves and connections and security in those connections. We need to become valuable to people. Now, how we do that is by performing tasks, much like we did with Mr. Brill. Question is, I believe, being raised is what manner of tasks do we prefer to perform? And in that, your opinion, Mr. Carver, would be greatly appreciated. Because other than having read some books and being literate, I don't seem to be providing any particular set of skills. Weeding.
Well, you find things.
I get
You're
lucky.
You're really good at finding things.
You're the one who sussed out where Eldwin
Alda was in the fire, and then where Eldwin was. You're good at finding things.
I have intuition that I don't quite understand the source of.
Oh, see, that's right there. That's nifty right there.
I also have abilities that would sooner see all of us. Well, even if it weren't for somebody looking for me, I see things. And that in itself means that just by associating with me, if the right people or the wrong people were to find out about our associations, you would likely be disappeared. Forever.
Oh, okay. So don't tell anybody I know you.
That would be helpful.
Awesome. You can spread my name around all you want as long as you're not doing stupid stuff with it.
I'd rather not.
No.
Also, says Mercy, I think if there's a bounty on your head, it's probably better that you lay low as much as possible, Martin.
Well, I mean, who's the motherfucker?
Let's start with a question of ethics. What
Ethics?
is ethically unallowable? Is there anything that is outside of one's moral compass?
Kids.
Children?
Nothing that involves kids.
Okay.
I had too much of that shit growing up. Thank you very much.
Well, criminality-wise.
No. I get it. I get it. And I'm saying that I had too much of that as a kid. So no kids. Any one of you fucks around with a kid and takes a kid for what they got, I will personally beat your skull in. We don't take or steal. Well, I don't take or steal from kids.
That's your right, but don't impose it on the rest of us under threat of violence.
I believe we are attempting to find an agreement, a common ground here. It's perfectly acceptable for a person to state where their ground lies. Miss Reaper, do you have any ethical problems?
None.
So you're fine with what? You have to forgive me. I don't know what kind of industries operate in these circles. But I'm assuming you're fine with murder.
Not murder without reason.
You murder for a reason. You'd be being paid to be.
That's not good enough of a reason.
Then you have a. See? Now we are making progress. So you do not want to receive payment to kill other people, like our friends at the Red Sashes do.
Right.
The Red Sashes don't necessarily always engage in those sort of jobs either. I just want to make that.
But it is understandable. They probably do a variety of things, but amongst them, within the realm of possibilities, is murder for hire.
It's within the realm of possibilities, yeah.
Depending on who needs to get got, I might be down for it.
Theft.
Oh, yeah. Theft, robbery, burglary. I'm good with all that.
Thuggery.
Have you seen me?
Extortion.
Like, I tried to run a store once, and it didn't go well.
Extortion is basically forcing individuals to do your will, and through intimidation, blackmail.
Okay. Yep. Nope. Got it. Yeah.
Racketeering. Intimidating local business owners to pay you for protection.
Oh, yeah. No, I do that already.
There you go.
Well, actually, I currently collect for other people. It'd be nice to be able to collect for myself one time.
Smuggling or illegal distribution of illegal items, including harmful substances, drug dealing.
I'm down for all of that.
I don't know.
In the right circumstances, I don't think I'd mind doing any of the things that you've mentioned.
Again, as long as the drugs didn't wind up in the hands of kids, I'd be okay with it.
I don't believe I've ever heard of an ethical drug dealer.
Well, it's not a matter of who we would sell to. It's a matter of who we sold to.
So let's cross that one off the list. I think that would be I believe let's see. What do we know? What skills we have? We've kind of covered a gamut of criminal activities that at least I'm aware of. We have obviously your ability to hurt people.
I'm really, really good in the scrap, and I can make people listen to me.
Miss Reaper's ability to hurt people, even though she seems to be much more selective about its use.
There's no reason to go around hitting everything you find.
I don't hit everything I find.
And Mr. Carver's... It seems to be that you are quite adept at social situations. You seem to be naturally more comfortable in those situations.
A little bit, yeah. I like gathering information about people. More specifically, I like understanding what they want. Which is why I tend to overshare. They start asking questions, I know what interests them.
I think we are more or less honing our query here. It seems to me we would be best at, pushing people around, getting what we want, redistributing goods. Old money gang stuff. Thuggery.
Okay.
I mean, also, like, kidnapping's not off the table. Not of kids, though. Like what we did with Eldwin. We knocked him out and we dragged him out of there.
Being devoted to kidnapping, finding high-priced people and just abducting them for ransom.
Well, I'm thinking more like somebody stole something from someone else and then someone else wants us to go get that thing back.
So, mercenaries.
Yeah. I don't mind being called a mercenary.
I'm good with the idea of napping in general.
Martin MacCalister, the mercenary. Ooh, that sounds way too good to pass up.
I don't like the idea of working for people because we never know the motivations, as we see with Mr. Brill and Miss what was her name? My memory, come back to me.
Rowan?
No, Mrs. Zalia Shea. They both treated us like servants, and they both had motivations. Zelia outright lied to us. I think we need to be the ones who are dictating the course of what it needs to be done. And that requires a goal, an agenda, and a business. Why don't we start with acquiring some territory?
Yeah, I would like to have somewhere that has a closet, at least.
You all hear at this point, as this sort of break in the conversation, you're all sort of quietly contemplating, thinking about what had just been said. You're rapping, like something smacking on metal. Cling, cling, cling.
What's that for?
Sounds like it's outside the ship.
I think that's the equivalent for a doorbell.
Oh.
We have a caller.
Oh. I mean, I like collars.
I'll go with Mercy to investigate.
There are windows like on the ship.
Oh, can we see out?
Yeah, there's
We're on a
there's a big enough it's a big enough ship that has little portholes with.
Okay. So who do we see out there?
You see Mr. LaRoche standing on the dock, and he's holding a cane in his hand, like sort of, and it seems like he's setting it back to where it was. You presume the sound you heard was probably him smacking something with the cane to get your attention.
It's LaRoche, and I'll walk out up onto deck.
I'll follow him. Make sure to grab an apple out of the bowl as we go.
Ah,
I'll stay underneath.
I was calling out to you, but no one answered.
Yeah. Sorry, we were all in here.
That's fine. May I come aboard?
Yeah.
It's your boat, ain't it?
No?
Oh. Whose is it? Or does that matter?
Did she not tell you? Well, it's not my place, but thank you. And he starts walking on board.
All right. Well, why don't you come on down? Come on down back to the galley kitchen? Galley. Why don't you come on back down to the galley?
Call it the living room, just in case people are familiar with ship terminology. Sort of living area, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll head back down there. At least we got some cushions you can sit on.
And Mr. LaRoche comes with you. He's wearing a nice suit, a different color. It's a gray suit, almost in a similar color to Blinder's suit. And however, today he's not wearing the like raincoat. You see, there's a tiny bit of dampness, as though it was lightly drizzling. He's not wearing his full sword. He simply has a cane in his hand. And he is wearing a bowler today, but he takes it off as he enters the ship and is holding it in one hand, and his cane is held at his side.
So I'll wait until everybody gets settled, and then I'll ask him, what brings you by, LaRoche?
If you wish to refer to me in such a way, simply call me Malone.
Okay.
Or Mr. LaRoche, your choice. As we had said, I would come by and speak to all of you about the opportunity the Sashes wish to offer you.
Right. I remembered that. Wow, I drank too much. Oh.
I don't. What opportunity?
We spoke of this last night.
Ah, okay, yes.
I said we would, after a night of rest, we would come and speak about jobs. Yes?
Yes, we were just discussing this.
Oh, of course. Have I interrupted? Should I wait? Should I come back?
I don't think so. I think we came to more or less a reasonable conclusion.
I see. He stops for a second as Mercy, because Mercy was off in the bathroom. Mercy comes walking in, and he stops and stops talking as she enters. It's sort of towards the end of Blinder's conversation. It seems like he was about to say something, and as soon as he sees Mercy, he stops. And he bows to her, dropping his eyes to the floor. And then waits, as though waiting for almost like permission or something. She looks at him and then looks at you guys and then looks at him, and she's just like, it gives him this like, what are you doing thing. And he's like, oh, good to see you, Miss Mercy. And
right.
the rest of you, they're nice.
Right. We can talk about the awkwardness after. Please.
Awkwardness.
What?
How did you not realize that was an awkward moment?
Oh, yes, I realized. I am just making sure that I do not speak out of turn, shall we say.
Mm.
I was unsure of what Miss Mercy has shared with you. And until I'm sure, I will try to...
She
be
shared
aware.
quite a good cup of tea this morning.
Excellent, excellent, yes.
Perhaps the two of you might enjoy a briefing?
That is up to her.
Mercy, do you wish to speak with Malone before we continue our conversation?
No, I'm fine. Malone, just treat me like one of the other members, please. And he's like, of course. Very good. Then of course, I, as Madame Rowan's representative, I'm here to speak to you all and offer you some opportunities to, as you had said, put coin in your pocket.
Yes.
That would be handy.
Yes.
We were discussing how we would like to move towards acquiring perhaps some territory, more security to insulate ourselves.
I see.
If whatever offers for employment
I see.
may lead that way.
To run before you walk, I see. Whatever choice you decide, we will try to assist you in whichever way we can. But I hope you understand the laws as it would be.
Quite.
And nothing is given. Everything is taken here in Duskfall. Although we could assist you, telling you which things are ripe to be taken. You must understand, as I had spoken of yesterday, we are not the only members of our entourage.
I believe the only complication that we would have would be whether or not we would murder somebody who you cared about.
Well,
Because we are under no disillusions that taking territory from us will end in somebody else's life. But, as you say, nothing is given here. And if we take, we don't want to make sure we take from our allies as well, which you so far have shown to be at least willing to be allies or take steps towards a stronger relationship with each other. But we are not going to merely work for people, because we will always be subject to others' agendas.
this was exactly the point I was going to make, was that to simply take territory at my own word or the word of my compatriots would presumably serve our own interests.
Well, all right then. Let's get to discussing a job.
Yes. For right now, of course, we must work for others, but I was indicating that we are moving towards this direction. This is the general. If you could, if any offers or would help us take those steps, we'd be more inclined to take them, I think.
I see.
At that point, he just kind of realized what he did, and he's just like, this is good tea.
You all notice that Malone he'll speak to you, and then he'll look at Mercy, and he'll look back at you. Kind of like he's almost like trying to gauge her or check in with her, kind of a thing. She doesn't even seem to notice. She seems to be paying attention to the rest of you. Like, she's not even noticing him doing this. Then, based on the things you had told myself and Madame Rowan yesterday, We believe that we have a opportunity for you.
He'll look at Reaper and then Carver. He'll look past Martin.
Sure.
Martin will try and like move his head into direct eye contact with him.
With who?
With Blinder.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And just kind of.
Just want to point out, he almost slipped.
I almost did.
He almost, yeah.
I almost did.
Fucking chat.
Excellent. Well, there are a few jobs, but based on your requests, shall we say, there is one opportunity that we would offer you. I'm unsure of where you wish, shall we say, in your future. Yes, we are talking about your future. Where is it that you see yourself going, shall we say? Perhaps this would help me to better ascertain if this job would be to your liking.
If acquiring territory of some kind, preferably from low-hanging fruit first.
So you do, as a group, plan to establish yourself, to gain a foothold, and to attempt to take something for yourselves.
I think that sounds pretty right on right there.
I see. So you are aware then that when you take this, you will make enemies, yes?
As long as we make the right enemies, we'll be fine.
Well, the determination of what is a right enemy or a wrong enemy is based on the perspective of the individuals. Perhaps my enemies are not your enemies. And so this job, I would warn you, will earn you the ire of another. They will become your enemy. And if that is something you are willing to accept, not only would it pay well, but, of course, if you allowed me to speak to Madame Rowan, I believe the territory or something nearby might be low-hanging fruit, as you would so delicately put it.
Yes, obviously, the implication that stronger. It would be easier to pick on somebody who doesn't have powerful allies, because if they have powerful allies, they are more likely to be more powerful.
There is no way to know for sure who is connected to what. But as we had talked about yesterday, there are those within the Red Sashes who see the benefit in selling you, Mr. Blinder, to our enemies. However, as Madame Rowan had so put it, if you were to take this job and make our enemies your enemies, it may, shall we say, cross the line, and perhaps more of our own would wish to give you safe harbor. But you are taking a chance.
Well, I'm for this.
I agree with
mean-
this.
I mean, hell, might as well get a target off of one of our backs. I'm just waiting for some dumbass to try and collect on mine.
It'd be nice to have a little extra breathing room for these two.
That would be nice.
So I will explain then the task, and then give you some time to think. I will go get some brunch, perhaps. Mercy, do you plan to work with him? She looks at all of you and looks back at Malone and is like, if they need my help, but I thought Madame Rowan had asked me to allow them to prove themselves. And Malone was like, oh, of course. I just wish to ask. Well, with that, as we talked about, our enemies will soon become one, or at least one of them. There is another group here within the Crow's Foot that goes by the name of the Lamp Blacks. One word. They were a organization of individuals who once held the light, shall we say, of the streets. They were responsible for keeping the lamps lit upon darkness and flowing all the way through the night. But with the Sparkrite technology having grown so quickly, many of them lost their jobs. And so because of this, they have turned, just as they have in other places within the city, to the shadows, shall we say. In doing so, they have grown significantly here in Crowsfoot and in other places. They are an enemy of the Red Sashes. They encroach upon our territory, they take things from us, they take things from our allies, and we wish to take something from them.
Yeah.
We are aware of a shipment that arrived in one of their warehouses here within Crowsfoot, dockside. We are unsure of exactly which warehouses it is being kept at, otherwise we presumably would have acted ourselves. And if we take direct action, they will know it was us who had done this, and they will consider it an act of war. And so you find yourselves in a perfect situation to both act as our allies and an unmistaken enemy of our enemy, without bringing more heat onto ourselves. We wish for you to find this place they are keeping the goods, to destroy them, destroy the warehouse, or to keep them. Your choice. I would tell you this, though. If you decide to keep the goods, there will be a lot of eyes looking for them. And I was also asked to mention, should you offer the goods back to us, we will pay you double the price we are willing to pay you for the job.
Do we know what the goods are supposed to be? Or can we know that until we've taken the job?
No.
So how are we going to know we got what you want?
We will tell you if you agree to take the job.
Huh? Fair enough.
As I had said before, and many will say it in your time here in Duskwall, information is power. If I was to tell you this and you refuse the job, you may use this information to your own gain.
I mean, sounds simple enough. I'm down.
As I said, I will give you time to think.
Oh.
Famished.
Right.
Mercy, do you wish to join me for some breakfast? She says, I already ate. Understandable. Well, I will be back in an hour, 2. How much time do you need?
I don't know. I'd go with the 2.
Yes, we seem to sometimes have quite vigorous debates.
Of course. Miss Mercy, is there anything that you would have me bring back with me? And I'm fine. We have everything we need here. No need to worry. And he bows. He nods to all of you, and then turns and walks out of the ship. And they're left in that silence as his footsteps leave the ship.
I mean, I'm just going to say, sounds like a pretty simple enough job to me.
It's going to get us the attention that we need to be a crew, regardless of whether it's pitting us against something else in the future.
Well, we're going to wind up making enemies anyway, right? Might as well make an enemy of someone who we have at least working relations with.
Well, not make an enemy out of them, but make an enemy for them.
They seem to be the only allies we have right now, so I see no reason why we can't advance our own agendas by helping them, and at the same time, maybe garnering some more resources, or perhaps even taking a step closer towards gathering territory.
I agree with this.
Carver, you in?
That all sounds good to me.
Well, damn, we could have just told him to, like, give him 10 minutes and we could play some stuff up for him.
I'm gonna go check on something real quick while we're waiting for LaRoche.
Is this a private affair?
It's a friend. Trying to figure out where he went.
If we
Just
were,
need to ask around.
perhaps we should inquire about Mr. Aldo as well. Although I think it will take some time for him to be cognizant. I don't think one day will be enough. But we should arrange for, at some point, checking in on him.
Just a quick clarification. If you keep in mind, it was only roughly at this point 7-8 hours ago that you checked in on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because remember it was late in the night before.
I knew it wasn't that much time, but I figured it was like a day. Oh, it's like a day. No, it's actually a couple hours.
Yeah,
Okay, never mind.
It was like last night, so. Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe later.
Yeah, give him a couple days to rest up. Or what was that word you used? Restit?
No, respite.
Respite. Oh, okay.
It's pronounced respite.
Respite?
Yes, respite.
So, like, okay. Rest.
Anyway, none of you have an issue with me going and doing this?
I mean, would you like some backup?
I'm not gonna say no.
Well, let's see here. Hey, Mercy.
Yeah.
If you're still here when Malone gets back, and Carver and I haven't come back yet, you can go ahead and put my vote in for taking the job.
Interject. Perhaps Miss Reaper would be more wiser option to accompany if you're afraid of Mr. Carver running into unforeseen. You and I both are being actively sought after.
That's a good idea.
Besides, I feel that we have to work on our communication.
And with a mention of that, Martin's face will actually like flush a little.
Mercy interjects at that point. I'm not sure how much interaction you've had with people before, but unless you've elected someone to lead your group, I presume the more of you that are here when Malone returns, the less rude it will be if you try speaking for someone else.
Well, how long is it going to take you to do your thing, Carver?
Shouldn't take me long.
Well, I was going to make a point that if one of you is gone, I mean, that can be explained away. If half of the group is gone, it may be borderline. So the point I was going to make was, since I'm not involved in this, perhaps I'll go with Carver and help him.
I mean, aren't people looking for you too?
Yes, but unlike you, Martin, I don't have a problem pretending to be someone I'm not.
Yeah, very true. Excuse me. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That checks out. You take care of yourself, okay, Mercy?
I'll be fine.
Well, I know, but I'd still like to see you come back in one piece. Bloody or not, one piece.
It'll be okay. It sounds like he's just looking for a person. That shouldn't be too much work. Worst case, we disappear into the city for a time.
All right. Well, you know how to get a hold of me if you have to do that, so.
I know where you are.
Yeah. I mean, that works. Because there's 3 of us. Are you okay with us speaking for you, Carver? If he shows up while you're not here?
I've already told you my decision. You guys are more than welcome to convey that I agree with the majority.
All right. Works for me.
Is everybody good with that? Asks Mercy.
I'm quite fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me just pack a few things, Carver, and then I'll come with you. She says as she takes off to the bedroom.
Okay.
Looking over Carver's clothes, are they like torn and tattered and stuff?
He seemed well worn, but not torn and tattered. Definitely doesn't look like a street person. He looks more like a worker, perhaps. Factory worker, maybe something like that.
Right. Well.
So Mercy returns after a few minutes of everybody sort of sitting, eating, thinking, etc. And she has like a bag, long bag, strapped over her back. She's wearing plain clothes, a long rain jacket, and even has a hood sort of set around her head, as though it could be pulled up to cover most of her head, face, etc.
All right. Ready to go?
You are.
And we'll take off.
Okay. So, you leave. Where is it that you're planning to head?
I'm going to go follow up that lead on figuring out where Connor is.
Well, you hadn't actually garnered any leads yet. Just remember, you had started the clock, but you hadn't finished it yet. So you have no new information necessarily that you had.
Then I will go to his usual haunts and places and inquire mutual friends and things of that nature as to where he might be.
Okay, so...
And if I turn up nothing within the hour, then I'll go back to the boat.
Okay. So your plan is to go to the barge and speak with Clyra and then travel to the 6 towers then? To look at the place that you had last met him? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Is that going to take more time than 2 hours?
You'll be cutting it close, depending upon how much time you spend in each area. Because traveling through the city, think of like New York or a very large city, right? It's not so much that the distance is really far. It's just that there's lots of traffic. They also don't have automobiles. There's more carriages, things of that nature. I mean, there are very primitive automobiles, but those are only owned as sort of like, not to say a luxury item, but more of like a bragging rights in a sense, right? Sort of strange spark right technology. And so it's one of those things that people only bring out for special occasions, more like a showpiece than anything really. So it's more that the time it takes to travel through the busy city from where you are. But because you're in Crowsfoot, you're centrally located. So the distance that you would travel to one of the other districts is actually quite short. It's just a matter of like if you go from Crowsfoot to the 6 towers and then from the 6 towers to the docks and then back to Crowsfoot. That's the long distance that's going to take there, right?
So yeah, I'll go first to Clyra's bar.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the last place that I saw Connor.
Okay. Just to quickly check in with the rest of the cast, is there anything that your characters wish to do in the meantime, in the time while you're waiting for Malone to return?
I'm going to be studying the some of the clothes that I got from Dunridge.
Okay.
And I'm really studying the stitch work so I can try and emulate it in the future.
Sure.
So I got a pair of pants, I got a shirt, I got a vest, kind of just laid out on the table.
Yeah.
Just kind of perusing it.
Yeah, and you're probably sitting there with needle and thread as well and kind of trying to trace the stitches. So you see, the rest of you will see, if you're paying attention, you'll see Martin sort of working on a tailoring trade of sorts. Blinder, I know it seemed like you were about to say something. Did you have something?
Oh no, I was waiting till Reaper had said whether or not they were going to do something.
Oh, okay. So Reaper, was there anything that you were going to?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Blinder will, seeing Martin pull out some tailoring stuff,
Mhm.
like
Go
and
full pin cushion, like bobbins of thread. He's
Yeah.
just
Okay.
working away.
Blinder will get up, walk over, make himself a pot of tea out, trying to find the same tea that he had this earlier,
Sure.
and
Okay.
set himself a pot to boil, and then once it's done, he'll set out his plate and everything like that, and go and sit farther away from Martin than they were sitting previously this morning, and under his breath, right before he takes his sip of tea, is like, those pleasant little luxuries.
Okay. Okay.
Just a little, like, under his breath, just barely loud enough for Martin to hear.
Believe it or not, Martin hears it, and you see his head kind of pop to turn in your direction, and then he just goes back to his sewing. And while sewing, he has this kind of, like, the best word I could use is focus. Like, he's super honed in, his eyes and his hands and everything he's doing into these things, into following these stitches and learning how to do all these things with much cursing involved. Because it's like, damn it, I missed a stitch. Got that one.
So it seems like the jab, in a sense, sort of just water off a duck's back sort of thing.
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
he's very much more focused on the clothes than he is on any conversation.
So
that's
he may
happening.
not have even noticed that Blinder
Yeah.
had said it. Okay.
May not even have noticed.
Okay. Was there more to add from any of you?
No, he'll just sit here and drink his tea. He'll basically spend most of his time instead of internally thinking, in between sips, just kind of observing Reaper and Martin and just watching.
Okay. So back to Carver.
Damn, we gotta go back to me. I want to know what happens with Blinker and Martin.
So you find yourself arriving at the Barge Tavern, which is the tavern that Clyra owns in the Docks district of town. The Docks, as it sounds, and as I explained before, is the portions of it are the historical docks that were once used by, trade ships and things of that variety. But new docks have been built as the Leviathan trade boomed and got bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it is a district beset by the ocean, and most of the trade, both goods coming into and out of, in the same way that Night Market has that same sort of goods traveling into and out of it constantly, it has that same sort of energy to it. People seem to be hustling and bustling, especially as you're closer and closer to the docks. And as you move further and further away, these stores and shops become more of trade goods, clothing, food, taverns, etc. And so you find yourself, as I had said before, at the Barge Tavern. Walking inside, you see Clyra is standing behind the bar, washing a few dishes. It seems, or sort of like rubbing a towel to sort of dry them, you presume, at this point. There's the normal few locals that find themselves inside the Barge Tavern at this hour in the morning. And it seems that they are just starting the lunch period, as it would be, as you see that Clyra is no longer handing out that sort of gruel oatmeal, but is now actually handing out more prepared foods, meats, cheeses, sandwiches, things of that variety. She notices you immediately as you enter, basically.
I kind of take a look around the room and see if I guess I'm just gauging, like, do I see anybody who looks dangerous? Or,
I mean, sailors of this world, especially Leviathan hunter sailors, are a tough sort.
we're normal humans. Those are space marines comparatively.
Right. They literally look, the horrors of the world in the face. And so some of the patrons, most of the locals that I'd referred to, are older, what you presume to be sort of retired Leviathan traders, or maybe even fishing vessel traders or something of that variety, right? So they've all spent their years through that grizzled time and now have that sort of like mile-long stare, like they've seen some shit. But most of them are still trying to be cheery and happy, and or as best as they can be. Obviously, they have that aspect to them where they don't really speak unless spoken to. Just a few small groups of them interacting, kind of like, old buddies would be, or at least local bar patrons. They get to know each other eventually, and they're catching up. Oh, how was your night? Oh, it was good. Blah blah. And just the conversation goes on.
I'll look to Clyra then and just kind of shrug my shoulders as if asking like where she would prefer to talk.
She motions you over to the bar.
I'll walk on over. I'll sit down and kind of disguise myself as a patron as good as possible, and then motion for Mercy as well to join us.
Mercy, who had sort of taken a stance nearby the door, kind of leaning against the inside wall nearby the door, sees you motion them over, nods, and then walks over and takes a seat at the bar. They immediately turn their back to the bar, not obviously as a sign of sort of disrespect to Clyra, but more in that way of like they want to keep the door in their sights. And so they're sitting there, and Clyra's like, "Oh, hey, Carver, this is an unexpected surprise. Great to see you."
Good to see you. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I mean, I've gotten better sleep since you've been gone. I mean, but I meant that to be funny. Sorry if that came off.
It was.
Oh, okay. You hungry?
Probably shouldn't.
No.
I wanted to know if Connor had sent any word of where he might be.
Can't say that I've heard anything from Connor or anybody speaking for Connor.
I did tell him to get a hold of you or send a message to you once he was in a new place. I know he was moving.
Sure. Yeah,
But,
I haven't heard anything from him. Maybe the move's just taking a little longer than he expected it to, or something. I don't really know.
Maybe.
Are you worried or something?
I'm starting to get worried. This is a little bit unusual for him to go so many days without contacting me.
Sure.
At least since I've been in the city.
Sure. I mean, but it's Connor, though. He does this.
There are some strange things going on which also provoke my worry.
Okay. Well, I'll keep my ears open then, and maybe ask around when I have an opportunity, see if I can turn up anything.
Can I ask you a personal favor?
Sure. I mean, of course.
Other than just keeping your ears to the ground for Connor. have you heard anything about the Weston Holtz?
No new news. Other than, the article I showed you last time you were here.
All right. Well, if you hear anything, I'll kind of lean in and whisper the location of where I'm at. You know where to find me.
Okay. I'll send someone that way or a message or something.
Alrighty. Well, thank you. And as always, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey,
Alright.
I wanted to ask before you go. I noticed you grabbed all your stuff. Did you find a new place?
Yeah, the place I just told you about.
Oh.
It's kind of our new digs
Oh, okay.
for right now.
Sure. Is it nice?
Again, it's better.
That's good. Who's your friend? She says, now kind of realizing that she had been rude. Mercy turns. Hi, I'm Mercy. Nice to meet you. And reaches out, shakes her hand. Clyra. This your a friend of yours? Someone
Work
new?
associate.
Work. Okay, great. Well, what you got a job now?
We're doing some under the table work, as it were.
Oh, okay. Well, be safe. And you're looking better. I mean, still look like you got shit for sleep, but.
Oh yeah, no, my work associates are having to deal with that problem now.
Well, hopefully they get paid well enough to. It's not so bad.
I hope so too, because it would probably really suck to get snuffed out in my sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could I before you go, you seem like you're in a hurry, but I just want to say one other thing. Could I get a moment privately? She says as she sort of looks at Mercy and then back at you. Mercy's like, I understand. Okay. And then Mercy gets up and walks over back towards the door and hangs out there. I know that, you're having a rough go of it, and a lot has happened. And I know that, you and I have talked, and you haven't told me everything. But, I just want to say that even if it's not me, I think talking to someone, maybe that'll help. I know that seems dumb, but I mean, since you've been here, you've been guarded and defensive, and I mean, rightly so. There's all this stuff that happened to you, and you're dealing with a lot. I just feel like, and I don't know how well you know this person, Mercy, and if you're work associates, that's fine, but, and maybe if it's with Connor, if you feel more capable of speaking to him about it, or even if you feel like it would be me. I mean, it's completely up to you, Carver, but I really feel like maybe talking about what happened, just getting it out, because even still, you haven't really said it, and I don't expect it now. I don't expect it with me. I'm just saying that maybe if you talked about it, maybe that would help. Maybe that would at least help you sleep better. I'm just asking that you'll try it. If you want to seek out a doctor or something, that's your choice. You've got a lot on your shoulders. You've got a lot on your mind. And keeping it in doesn't seem like it's helping.
Well, it's not.
You don't have to say
Right.
anything right now. Don't worry about it. Come here, she says as she walks around the bar and comes up to your seat and then gives you a hug, you know.
I'll give Clara a big hug and just tell her when I'm ready I'll talk to you about it.
I understand. Okay, so be safe. And as I said, if I hear anything about Connor, I'll let you know. Good luck with your work, though.
All right. Thank you.
And she heads back.
And I'll kind of look at Mercy and say, okay, we can go.
Okay. And from there, are you heading to the 6 towers? What was your plan?
Yeah. Well, how much time did that take a little bit more time than I thought?
It
Or
took about 20 or so minutes to get there, and then you guys talked for whatever that was for about 5-10 minutes, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So all in all,
Okay.
we'll say by the time you would get back, it would have been about an hour in total. With
so yeah,
travel time.
I
little
guess
over
we
an
can
hour.
go over to 6 towers and then check out his old digs.
Okay. You'll be cutting it close. You'll probably be a little late just because now you're heading from one side of the city almost to the other, like to another big section of it. So you might be a little late getting back to the boat, but you won't be like, 5 hours late or something like that. It'll be more like half hour, 45 minutes sort of late. Depending on how much time you spend there. Okay. So at this point, we will move back over to those of you that are still upon the ship. Eventually, as the hours pass, Malone comes walking back up to the ship. He has a bag of some sort. It's like a paper grocery bag of sorts.
Invite him on. Just before he rings a bell or anything like that, just kind of wave him in.
And he comes across the ramp onto the ship and inside, taking off his hat, of course.
Sees me still fuddling with stitches.
Oh, so how did you see him then? Were you inside or are you up on top of the deck?
Oh, I was on deck.
Oh, you're on deck. Okay.
Yeah, fresh
my
air.
confusion. My confusion. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So he basically waits for you. And then once you join him, he heads back down inside the ship.
Oh, yeah. No, I pack all my stuff. As soon as I see him walking up, pack all my stuff up. Roll it up like it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Yeah. Carry my bundle down into wherever we're having our conversation.
Presumably back in the living quarters area. The lounge
Probably.
area, Yeah.
We have a little lounge.
And so, as time has passed, both Reaper and Blinder, wherever they may be inside the ship, are you still both in that living room space as well? Drinking tea, etc. Okay.
I
And you
am,
see Martin walk down in, followed by Mr. Malone. Mr. LaRoche, pardon me.
Well, he came back, and Mr. Carver said that we could speak for him. While he's
So it
not here,
looks-
he's doing a personal thing.
It looks like we'll be taking your job offer.
Excellent. It's customary amongst my people to offer a gift. I've brought you some treats, he says as he passes over the paper bag.
I'll take the paper bag.
Okay.
What's in it?
Really fine pastries. Like fruit pastries.
I'll start handing those out.
Okay. There was a bakery near by the place that I had my breakfast, and they looked delicious. I had to have one myself, so I figured I would bring some as a gift.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. Where
Picks it up.
is Miss Mercy?
She went with Carver. He had to go take a personal break.
Of course. She is safe. Yes?
Yes.
Of course. And Mr. Carver has given you permission to speak for him, I presume?
He has.
Excellent.
Literally just said that.
Let's get down to brass tacks and talk about this deal, this job.
Sure. What do you wish to say?
Oh, tell us more about it.
Oh, I see. So, as I had said, the Lamp Blacks, who are a faction here within Crow's Nest and other places, they deal in goods and in many other assorted tasks, shall we say. And so because of this, they have been given a shipment to keep safe. The shipment contains vessels.
Shipment.
Shipment. Does my accent offend you?
No. Just my brain heard shipment and thought it was funny.
Oh, I see.
So no offense, just comedy.
Of course. The goods are something they are holding for another group. And so because of this, a precision attack against them, destroying these goods or stealing them, would create a rift between them and one of their allies. There would be pointed fingers, what happened to our goods, etc., etc. So this would both do well for our contestation with the Lumplux and with their allies. Of course,
What
putting
sort of-
you... Oh, what?
What sort of vessels are they? The
What-
shipment. The shipment.
They are vessels. Pardon. Mercy is not here. What is a gross word? Ghosts. Jars. I think. Yes.
Soul jars.
Yes, this. Yes. Yes.
Out of game, is this a thing we know about?
Yeah, soul jars are containers which apparently are able to hold vessels, spirits, wraiths, and trap them. Some people consider it bullshit. Some people consider it to be an actual thing. It just depends on who you are. There's a great deal of trade in the city that has to do with mostly superstition, where people believe they're possessed, or a family member is possessed, or a ghost is haunting their home. And so individuals, not the wardens, or even themselves, will buy and sell these vessels in order to try and trap the spirits. And if they are real, if it is not fake, if it is in fact an actual ghost or spirit inside, it sells for quite a bit.
Do we know what happens out of game? Do we know common sense what happens if we destroy them?
Well, it's easy to assume. If the vessel, if their cage is broken, what happens then?
Okay, we will. What are the details? When will this shipment be sent, and when should we expect to retrieve it?
It has already been sent. The duty of the job is to find the warehouse where they are keeping it, steal it, destroy it, your choice. Sell it back to us, as I said, for double the price. Whatever you wish to do. And of course, once that is done, payment will be determined based on the actions you took. And more can be determined in.
Very well.
How much if I may, these Lamp Blacks, they are a very widespread organization. How much will they are going to be blamed for losing the shipment that we are going to steal?
Of course.
How much will this cost them in the terms of capital, political capital in the underworld?
If an organization is thought to go bad on their deals. Their reputation is struck by such things. It will be hard for others to wish to trade with them. Can they trust that they would keep these goods safe in the future? This is the sort of doubt we wish to sow. We want others to not be flocking to these lampblacks, to not be trusting these lampblacks. The problem, however, is they are a very tight-knit organization connected to the people of the city.
Do they have any weaker allies
They
that
do.
protect?
In a sense, yes. Their allies, who I believe the shipment is from, the gondoliers. They have agreed to take this deal as it would be, as a favor to them. Payment, of course, would be offered. The gondoliers, though, although not the largest organization, are still very powerful in the circles it roams in. Our hope is to strike a wedge between the two. This is why we ask you to do it, not us to do it. The hope would be that there will be no sashes attached to this. They would think, perhaps, the lampblacks have turned on them, that their enemies have moved against them. Whatever the case may be. Misdirection is a favored weapon, and if you choose to employ it in this situation, I will promise there will be a bonus to your payment. If they discover that you worked for us, that's not so good.
No, I don't think it would be good, and it's not our intention.
Nobody's gonna get anything out of me. Ain't nobody got enough hammers for that.
Then it sounds like we have an accord.
We do indeed. Do we have a timeline or a deadline?
The shipment is going to be moved in 2 days, I am told. So you have 2 days. Accomplish this by then, and you will be paid.
Okay. Sounds like we have some work to start doing.
Of course.
I mean, I suppose.
And for the time being, I would say this. Although we would wish to help you in this endeavor, as I had said, we cannot be connected, which means you will not have our connections, status, etc. in helping you. This must be yourselves who do this.
Well, I was actually going to ask, depending on how much we get paid for doing the job at the end of it, could we get a little bit up front so that we can grease palms if we have to?
That is a reasonable request.
All right. I'm thinking, shit, 1-2 coin. That ought to be able to buy anything we need.
It's a great deal of money, my friend.
Well, depending on how. Well, I mean, stuff's going to be moving in 2 days, so we're going to have to be meeting a lot of people in a very short amount of time. And, well, the bigger the purse, the looser the lips get.
So you want me to give you half of what you would be paid should you return the shipment to us? Half up front is what you're asking.
Well, rather than that, yeah, that's fair. You give me the coin that I would be earning for the job, and we will use that to grease palms.
Okay.
And I am okay with that if the rest of you are okay with that.
I don't see an issue with it.
I'm fine.
All right. And that just means that if we were going to get 4 coin out of you just for doing the job to begin with, you only give us 3 when we get done.
Just a quick reminder. I don't want to interrupt too much of the roleplay here, but 1 coin is considered like a week's worth of salary or more. As I had said before, 1 coin is the equivalent of a large sack of sleep.
Right.
Right.
Right. So yeah. Right. So I'm not asking for an exact coin.
For example, the price on your head, 100 pounds of silver, is roughly like, I can't give it a specific number, but I would say somewhere between 6 and 10 coin, basically.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
Or actually, 100 pounds of silver probably be a little less than that. So probably be more close to 5-ish coin, right?
Right.
So 1 coin is quite a bit, right?
Right. Well, then if you could just get this instead of an actual full, because my character would have known that. But
sure. Yes. That's why. That's
So
why I was trying
so-
to. That's why I was pointing it out, because the Blades in the Dark uses this very esoteric currency system that has no like
Right.
hard values like you see in other games where it's like, you have 100 coin, give me 10 gold, that sort of thing.
Right.
Because it uses that esoteric system. I understand the point that you're sort of making. Like for this job, the normal payment would have been like 2 coin, and then if you sell them back the goods, then it'll end up being something like 4 coin, right? Or
Right.
with a bonus, maybe 5 coin.
Right.
For a bigger job against a bigger faction, kind of a thing.
Right. Right.
What was that?
So yeah. So rather than asking for a coin, I just asked for a little bit of pocket change.
Oh, sure. He can provide that to you. He can provide money to grease palms and things like that. But it's definitely not a full coin.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it uses a fiat currency.
It does. It does sort of use a fiat currency. I mean, keep in mind, though, that it's not so much fiat, because normally with these sorts of roles for the audience and for the cast members to remind you, is these sorts of normal roles when you're buying stuff and getting goods, it's usually based on your lifestyle is what that role is based upon, which is basically the number of currency or coin that you have saved, right? Because you can put money into your stash, which is basically, think of it like your secret bank, right? And then based on the number of coin you have in your stash determines how much pocket change you have, right? So that's just a quick reminder there, so that people know that in the future,
More like a pool. It's like a stat or a pool.
yeah, exactly. Think of like a great way to describe it is like, think of like resources from like Vampire the Masquerade. How there's that sort of like 1 dot equals you have so much pocket change to play with. That's the same way that your lifestyle sort of functions in this game, where once you've put enough coin into your stash, you have a consistent flow of so much money that you basically can use day to day, pay bribes, etc., stuff like that, right? And then it's only when you're ever doing things like downtime scenes, or you specifically have to pay off someone in like a bad situation, that I'll actually ask for the coin currency that you hold on your person, right? Representing a payoff, etc. But yeah, so just a quick thing. Sorry to interrupt, but we will get back to the RP right now.
Hey, mechanics are necessary sometimes.
That is true, especially because we're sort of remembering for the cast and teaching for the audience. So it's good for everyone to kind of know what we're discussing here. So it's not like, wait, why do I know all this stuff?
Right.
So we will say that yes, he's going to provide you with a, it's less than a coin, but a portion of what would be your payment up front, so that you can pay bribes, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, D&D brain kicked in for a
No,
second.
you're
there.
totally good. That's why we stopped and we went back over that, so that everyone's sort of in that mindset and understands what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So he agrees. He says, I will be a short bit, but I will return with the currency. I do not keep such money on myself.
Smart idea.
Of course. Give me a few moments. I will be back and place it into your care.
All right.
Are there any other questions at this point in time?
I think we've got everything settled.
Excellent. Well, if you do think of anything while I am gone, please do not hesitate to ask. And with that, he bows his head, briefly, with a nod, turns, and walks out. And about 10, 15 minutes later, unless there's specific interactions you guys wanted to do in that time. Is there anything? About 10,
Not
15
really,
minutes
no.
later, he comes back. And he... is anybody waiting upstairs for him or anything like that?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll wait. Or
Okay.
go ahead.
You basically
You
saw
go
that
ahead.
the time it took him was him basically walking all the way down the long dock, all the way back to the road area, going to a carriage, like reaching inside the carriage, rummaging around, and then coming back, right? So the 10 or 15 minutes he was gone was just him going and doing that, right? Because the docks in this section are very long.
They literally jacked our payment from some poor schmuck.
No. It seems like it's his carriage, right? It seems like he walks up to the carriage. There's a driver there that nods to him, and he opens the door.
You said random carriage.
No, I meant like you see a carriage, like a
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
Okay. I thought he was just like reaching in some poor schmuck's carriage. Like he was just like,
Just
oh,
Jackson.
no, that would do just nicely.
No, perfect. Yeah, no. It's obviously his. You can tell by the way that the driver nods to him and he reaches in and grabs some things. I just meant that like it's hard to make out information perfectly from the distance you're at, but you see him getting into a carriage and then shortly comes back out. Yeah, and so he delivers to you the pouch of money and then says good luck to you and then bows his hat because he hasn't taken it off, like sort of tips his hat to you and off he walks. At this point, we will return to Carver. Carver now finds himself in the Six Towers district. As I had said before, the dilapidated old, what had once been sort of the seat of power here within Duskball, has now fallen to decay and time. No longer kept beautiful and pristine as it once might have been. There are still squatters. Even though it is morning, he does not see as many squatters necessarily on the street as he did when they were here at night, but he sees people walking around or things of that variety, panhandling, etc. And he eventually finds himself standing in front of the broken gate of the house that he had last seen Connor at. It looks very different in the daylight. He can see the panels of shingles fall and things of that nature falling off of the roof. He can see that the paint is chipped and sort of destroyed from rain and weather. As he
I'm gonna make my way up to the room where Connor was last.
He was in the lobby, like sort of the main, like you walked inside and then he was in that main room off to the right.
Okay.
So you walk inside, creaky house, water falling through the roof. Every footfall is like the sound of an old creaky door, like something should be oiled. You're kind of wondering if something's going to snap at any point in time, giving way under your weight. You go walking through and you don't see Connor. You don't see any sign of him.
So I turn and I look at Mercy in that moment where I'm looking, but I'm not seeing anything, and I'm just gonna keep looking.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a question.
This is you speaking to Mercy?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. What's that? She says.
Your awkwardness with Malone earlier kind of indicates that, well, it indicates a couple of things. And I'm cool if you don't want to talk about it at all, but it indicates to me that you're someone more important to the Red Sashes than we would be led to believe. Maybe someone of higher station.
I'm not a high station within the Red Sashes. That much is true. I'm respected by many of them because of some of my own personal actions, but mostly because of my family. My family is they're Aruvian nobles, members of the consulate. And I came to Duskfall to try and make it on my own. But with all things, my family followed me in a way. The Sashes, like me, are relatives and personal friends and associates of other Aruvian nobles, I guess you could say. Nobility works different in Aruvia. It's not so much a birthright of sorts as it is a class system based on wealth and merit. So those that have are viewed in high esteem, and those that have not suffer just like they do here in Duskfall. And my family has been very well off for a long time because of our trade and our connections. So the weirdness you're seeing is that I had told my sister and Mr. Malone, Mr. LaRoche, whatever you want to call him, that I wanted to be treated, if I was going to be working with them, as they would treat any member of the Red Sash. I don't want special treatment because of where I was born or to whom I was born. I came here to prove myself, and I have, and that's why I haven't been the best member of the Sashes, shall we say. I've done a lot of jobs of my own. That's how I met Martin and others. And they taught me quite a few things. That being that sometimes you have to lean on family. And that's what I did. Accidentally, basically, with this situation.
So, you leaned on the Sashes, or did you lean on your family?
My
Or are they one and the same?
My family, in a sense, is one and the same. The Red Sashes are connected to the consulate, although not directly. For example, my parents, in a sense, are not members of the Sashes. Generally, it's distant relatives, children of theirs, etc., that are members of the Sashes. And that's why, generally, the Sashes tend not to get into as much trouble, or when they do, their family swiftly swoops in and deals with it, as you saw, or as I spoke of, basically. Malone is so weird around me because Malone is a member of my family's guard, I guess you could say. He's the personal bodyguard of my sister. And so I grew up with him and his brothers and his father watching over me and my sister. So that's why it's weird, because he's used to being the way that he is, right?
I see. Well, I appreciate you being honest about it.
Well, you're going to find out one way or the other. It seems Malone can't keep his mouth shut. By the way, while she's saying all of this, she's like looking around and stuff. So it's one of those, like, she's having the conversation while she's like looking under stuff and kind of checking under things and like looking around, like as though she's looking for something, right?
That's same. With Carver. Carver's like looking around for any sort of like symbol that Connor might have left behind, any sort of clue.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your honesty, mostly because I figured I'd ask away from the rest of the group so that it didn't feel like you were being cornered. And it also gives you the option to come up with a completely different story if you didn't feel like telling me the truth. So,
Can I be honest with you?
mm,
I don't mind telling you because I know you won't tell them.
it's because they likely won't ask because they don't want that information.
No, because they won't ask, because if you tell them about me, I'll tell them about you.
Okay.
And she gets deadly serious for a second. I saw the newspapers. Pretty sure I know who you are. Pretty sure I know why those people tried to kill you.
I'm pretty sure you do know the truth.
How did you survive? I've told you something personal about me.
He just kind of looks like he's like going back to that place in his mind when
Sure.
he's trying to... I woke up in the middle of the desert.
She looks shocked.
I was
like shocked.
heavily injured. Pieces of the train lying skewed about. Could still smell the burning on my clothes. I could feel the sting of open wounds, and all I could think about was my family and trying to find them, trying to figure out what happened to them. So I walked till I came on some clue, and he'll pull out from his coat the toy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something that I recognized. And it was at that point that some really kind individuals found me.
What do you mean? You were in the Deathlands. How did you survive that? People don't survive out there. They send prisoners out there all the time to their deaths.
There are people who wander the Deathlands.
What?
Scavengers.
How?
They have strange sticks that they put in the ground and seem to ward things away.
Did you see anything?
He'll just kind of like sit there and think about the voice that was calling him. And it wasn't what I saw that scared me. It was what I heard but couldn't see.
She gives like a shudder, like just like, I can't imagine. I mean, I saw a ghost once, but I can't imagine what you probably dealt with out there. Also, I just want to say that if I came across as rude in the way that I said that I would tell your secret, I didn't mean it. I'm used to dealing with a different sort of person, and I just want to clarify that. I'm not gonna...
I get the rest of you come from a place where that's necessary.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I was blessed. Maybe I was cursed to be raised in a place where that wasn't even a fact of life for me. Honesty, trust existed in my world until just a few weeks ago.
If your family was so honest, why aren't they looking for you?
They were.
Are they still?
No.
Why would they give up?
I don't think they've given up. I just think that they've accepted a reality that I've allowed them to believe, mostly because of my own shame.
Why are you ashamed? I mean...
And he'll start, like, breaking down, and
Mhm.
he'll drop to his knees, and just, like, because I couldn't protect them.
She just puts a hand on his shoulder, kind of standing slightly to the side of him and behind him. Pats him on the shoulder. I get it, Carver. Take as much time as you need. I'm gonna keep looking, okay?
He'll, kind of just, like, he'll collect himself very quickly.
Mm.
And it's obvious that it's a strain to keep his composure. He's struggling very hard to hold back tears, to hold back the emotion in his throat. He can feel that like that frog just kind of sitting there, and that tension. And he'll I'm fine. We can go. I don't think he's here.
She looks at you for a second as you stand up and collect yourself. You're gonna figure this out. And if they're alive, you'll see them again.
He'll nod. He's not saying anything, because if he opens that up, it's all coming out.
But I think the thing that my father once told me that I think might help you right now, if you'll allow me.
Yeah.
She, almost as though you don't see her move, draws her hand and just slaps you across the face. Just like, with just speed and finesse, just whack! And then her hand is like basically at her belt, almost like she would draw a blade. And it shocks you.
Nope, that's good. It worked.
Crying won't fix it, Carver. You've got to get angry. You want revenge? You want to make these motherfuckers pay? And she's like inches away from Carver's face. Like she's almost like she's inviting him to hit her back.
He'll lean in real close. I have that rage, that anger. But I'm saving it for the day that I have a target. So for now, I'll grieve. So I don't lose that rage or hatred.
She doesn't say anything. She just nods. Like she understands. She pats you on the shoulder, like a quick like, and then turns around, walks out of the room. There's a last couple rooms you guys hadn't checked yet.
I'll go and quickly kind of look in them and see if there's anything of interest.
The last room, as is always the case dramatically. You find something written on the ground. Markings.
Pick it up.
It's markings, like into the very floor itself.
Oh. Do they look legible as like a form of language, or?
Nothing you've ever seen before.
Pull out a paper and some charcoal and take an imprint.
You realize it's large. Like it's...
Yeah, that's why I'm taking an imprint.
No, I mean like the entire thing. It's like a shape across almost the entire room. And the formula wraps in a circle around a center point that sits with a triangle inside of a circle. Lines forming out from the edges of the triangle, hitting an outer circle around it, of script written into the shape. You reach down. And the thing, the what it seems to be made out of, as you're analyzing it, as you're putting the paper on it and trying to trace it and like draw down what you see, pieces of it flake away, like dried blood. You've seen this before. You had this happen to you when you bled. You remember there being flakes caked on you with mud and dirt, time, and it flakes in the same way. There's a smell to it, like soot mixed with blood. Pungent, thick.
I'm gonna draw what I can of it down.
Okay.
And then call Mercy and ask her if she's seen anything like this.
She comes in and she's immediately like, whoa! What the fuck is that?
I don't know. Have you seen anything like this?
Never.
I'm gonna be honest with you again. There's a reason why I talked to Connor.
Okay.
We've been friends for a very long time. But he's been helping me learn to speak with things.
Like a voice coach?
Nah, well, kind of. Of a fashion. I know he's into strange things. I've never seen him into something like this.
Just try to copy it as best you can, I guess.
I'm trying. So I'll finish copying it down.
Mm-hmm.
See if I can.
You spend some time with what papers you have, and you try to trace the words that are hard to like specifically copy. Like you trace the words on the outside, we'll say, and then you draw the overall shape, basically, and you finish up with that. And at that point, Mercy starts helping you, but you can tell that she feels weird or uncomfortable with the whole process. Like she's kind of worried that, like, almost like you can tell there's like this sort of superstition. Like she's worried about touching it. She never touches any of the pieces or anything. She just like sets the paper down and then traces, almost like she's holding the end of the charcoal or what chalk or whatever it is you guys are using to draw with, and and you finish, and you've made the best copies that you can of all the writing, and you've drawn overall the sort of shape. I'll even presume you probably paced the distance just in case that mattered or something.
Yeah. And once I'm satisfied that I have enough information, just kind of take one last look about the room. Is there anything else unusual, peculiar?
This room, like all the other rooms, is broken and fractured in a way, time and age. But in this room specifically, you notice that where the points of the lines I'd spoken out that come out and touch, think of it like trace marks almost. Very fine in the floor. And from there, it sort of builds outward and gets larger, like cracks. And you hadn't quite noticed them before because you're paying so much attention to the center of the room. But you notice that there seems to be almost like fracture damage done to the very floor itself. Tiny splinters and cracks. And as it reaches the wall, you notice the same thing. Of course, there's damage done to the ceiling, the walls, and things of that variety. There seems to be specific to those 3 points is more decay and damage that has been done. Almost as though some force drew a line almost through this decayed building's walls. And since then, water and air and time has started to have pieces of it fall apart, like pieces of wood falling out of place. The ceiling itself above the space is completely crashed, almost is what it seems like a cracked. Think of like an egg, how it's cracked and barely holding on. Pieces of it have already fallen down, right? And it seems like they were wiped away or something.
Strange. I don't know. I don't think we should spend any more time in this place.
I agree, Mercy says. Let's get out of here. Like, you can tell she's ready to leave that room. Let's just get the fuck out. After she helped you draw, by the way, she's been standing near the door the whole time, almost like thinking something's just gonna...
Fuck this shit up.
Exactly. And so, at that point, you guys leave?
I probably made a joke about, like, stand behind the Taikarosi. It's okay, we're already cursed.
She, to be honest, I'm laughing at that as Michael, but Mercy, however, when you say that, kind of gives you that, like, is it okay to laugh about something like that sort of face? Like, ha, 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 yeah.
I'm just gonna, I'll deadpan it. It'll just be dry humor. She won't know.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And then after that, I presume you leave.
Yeah,
Okay.
We leave.
So returning back now to the ship, in the time that has passed, hours, Carver has not returned, nor has Mercy. You've had your conversation with Mr. LaRoche, and at this point, I presume you are planning or concocting schemes of some variety, the ways you might go about finding how to deal with this job you've been.
Yeah.
Sure. So we enter the scene and you're there talking. Feel free.
All right. So first thing we got to do is find the stuff, or find what building it's in.
Perhaps Mr. Carver would be able to do this.
Yeah.
He's new to the city, but he seems to have a better way around people. Or Miss Reaper, having familiarity with individuals.
Yeah, I can't say I've been to the docks too much. I usually stay away from there. Lots of water.
What's the matter? Can't swim?
Oh, sure. I swim like a rock, but I swim. So what happens when you got a bunch of muscle? You sink.
I suppose.
But say what?
I said, I suppose.
Well,
I believe
Okay.
finding is less of an issue of finding it because we have the appropriate skills to go looking around. We will undoubtedly have to talk to people to discern where they are. The question is how should we approach the theft and destruction and potential... I had a thought that perhaps we could further incentivize a wedge between the gondoliers and the lamp blacks, by perhaps leaving evidence behind that would tie the theft to the gondoliers somehow.
But the gondoliers are paying the lamp people to hold the stuff for them.
Yes.
So you want to make it look like the gondoliers are stealing from.
Undoubtedly, the gondoliers will blame it on the lamp blacks. Right.
Well, yeah.
Because and when the gondoliers do blame it on the lamp blacks, because they are in a weaker position than the lamp blacks are, they will undoubtedly try to use this to leverage and increase their reputation or allies of their own. It will look like to the lamp blacks, if we leave evidence, that the gondoliers have set them up in order to try to step on them, to use their increased their better position and their failure to improve their own position.
Okay, that seemed like really overcomplicated, which means probably it's going to work, or at least it's a good idea.
Well, it's simple like this: is if you are on the street and you were the toughest person on the street, which you have,
Which
you
I
seem like
am.
you
but-
are. Yes,
but
of course you
okay.
are. But you have a person who's following you around, being your ally, being your friend, and all of a sudden they sucker punch you and manage to get one over on you, and then go, well, look at me. Wouldn't they look like to the others? Wouldn't they benefit from your failure?
I mean, sure they would, but anybody who had part in that with me, they'd wind up with a bad case of death.
Perhaps this wasn't the best analogy, but you understand what I'm saying.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I get it. I'm just.
Everyone steps on the city, as well as you and I both know, and the ones to profit the most from the lamp blacks' failure would be somebody in a weaker position, perhaps to point out this is, perhaps to get new allies. It's a thought. There's just a thought. We can
Well, I
look for
mean,
the opportunities as they come up.
I mean, I don't think we need much muscle. I mean, we got Reaper and me. That pretty much covers it.
Yes. I do not think we are lacking in that front.
Well, all right then. So
You all hear steps as Carver and Reaper, following behind him, walk down into the ship.
you mean Mercy?
Sorry, Mercy. Apologies. Yeah, Carver and Mercy. Mercy
It was
goes
Reaper
into
the whole time.
It
in
was Reaper the whole time.
disguise.
Sorry. Yeah, I meant Mercy.
I would've
Sorry,
thought
I
they
looked
would-
at Angela and saw their name, and I was just like, and it just like clicked in my head. Sorry about that. But yeah, so Carver and Mercy come walking back down into the ship at this point. Mercy immediately goes to their room and seems to be unloading the things they were carrying with them.
All right. So, did you find what you were looking for, Carver?
No. Unfortunately, I found more questions than answers.
Great. You and me have something in common then. Finally.
Yeah, we might have a little bit more in common.
With what?
We can bring this up later if you all would prefer.
Well, we're all working together. Why keep secrets?
Trying to keep a secret, but here, I'll just throw it out. While looking around for a friend of mine who has been helping me with my personal work, I found some things of interest in the place that he was staying. And I'll pull them out. I'll pull out the papers with the symbols and sigils on them and whatnot in the designs, and then I'll tell them about the cracks
Mhm.
and what the drawing was made of in the floor. Seemed to be made of blood.
Yeah, you start pulling that kind of stuff out, and Martin gets up from his seat and kind of backs away toward a wall.
I don't know if my friend is safe or if he's been taken. And I have no idea what these mean.
Well, it ain't good, whatever it is.
May I see?
I'm sharing with the class.
Once read a book or two about on the occult. I'm not professing to know anything, and he'll look at the transcribings, the copy.
Do you set them out?
Okay.
So you
Yeah,
can see all of them at once?
Yeah, I'll attempt to study.
Sure.
See what I can discern. Yeah.
And I will aid.
Mm,
I will aid as I'm standing like hella far back. Every time it looks like he's about to line up a thing in the wrong way, be like, hey, you fucked that one up.
oh, I see.
You
You're
fucked that one up.
you're helping him like puzzle piece all the things
Yeah.
in the circle. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Sure, yeah. So you can spend a stress and
Okay.
give Blinder a +1 die to their roll.
Sweet. Now I'm at 2 stress. There.
So study a 2 plus 1 die.
Unless you want to take a devil's bark.
No.
Okay.
I already rolled. A 6, 5, and a 2.
6, 5, and a 2. That is a full success.
Yeah.
Weird.
That wasn't desperate action or anything, was it?
No, it was a controlled standard because you're in a
Okay.
place where you have time to be able to study for as long as you need to, and there's no rush or anything like that, right?
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. So you gain a full success. As you set them down, you start going through them, and you're like, oh, okay. The markings seem familiar. They remind you of a formula or a formula of sorts that you worked with or you've seen or you've studied. However, as you're putting the pieces together, eventually, when you finally seem to have lined them all up and Martin assists you, master of puzzles over here, assists you, as you step back for a second to see everything, you're shocked. Like, it hits you all at once, this realization, as it all makes sense in your head. It seems like someone is trying to replicate your formula, but they haven't cracked the code, in a sense, like you did. Because presumably in your time of studying, there was many variations that took place to figure out how to do what you do, Blinder. And you realize that this reminds you almost perfectly of one of your initial ideas that you had and tried and failed. And so there seems to be like there's even a symbol, just to make this more personal, so that weight can sort of fall. There is a symbol that you had added, in a sense, in order to balance 2 points in the formula. This is when sort of the full idea started to come to you about how to accomplish or hope to accomplish the thing you wish to accomplish. And this is sort of the first stepping stone in a long line of steps. And that symbol is in this formula. It's just out of place, as though the person is experimenting with something, as though maybe they have your notes, your initial notes, or something, some source. But it's obvious that this can only be a person that is copying you specifically.
So, with obvious, like, I don't think that blinder could hide that on his face. Normally he's pretty
sure.
good at keeping his face pretty
And
disciplined.
especially because it hits him like that realization, right? This whole thing, everything that happened, the things we've talked about in your past, the deal, all of that comes flashing back for a moment.
Well, what was your friend's name?
Connor Whistler.
Let's write that down. Mr. Connor, is Mr. Connor familiar with the occult?
To a degree, I don't think that this was him. I've never seen him do anything like this.
Hmm.
He's the one.
I think this. Yes. I'm. It's a little tough. Mind you, I only read a book once.
Is it really that bad?
I mean, is it all in that one book?
Well, I mean, it was a good book. So it had quite a lot of information. I believe he was abducted. Yes, he was abducted, and he was abducted by most likely he was by another occultist. This is very novice, sort of. Like if I were to attempt this is what it would look like. Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Okay, you still haven't told us what it is.
I
This
believe
is just drawing to
this
me.
is some sort of ritual. Yes, I believe it's definitely ritual. It definitely involves abduction.
Are you intentionally trying to hide what it actually does?
No, he's just not. He's not being outright like this is what it does, but like,
Okay.
he's trying to explain in a way that
Sure.
that kind of gets the point across. That all right. Anyway,
Sure.
Mr. Connor, I believe, was dabbling in the practicing magic, of some form. You found this in his residence, I'm assuming, or someplace that he would be.
Someplace that he would be, yeah.
Because if this was someplace he would be, this was, I believe it's either him or somebody close to him that was practicing some sort of occult. This is knowledge that he could not have gained himself. He definitely got it through a third party, and that third party is probably the most likely person that you could find him. I don't know if he was forcibly taken or not, obviously. I mean, there's many reasons why this can happen, but it believes this involves the movement of one physical body to another location. What kind of blood was used?
What do you mean blood?
Blood. I'm assuming that there was blood. There's always blood in these things. It's so very, very occultish. It's very within their vogue.
Yeah, I said that blood was used. I don't know what kind it was. It was dry, flaky.
Was there a carcass around, like an animal carcass?
Do I remember there being an animal carcass around? Not that I could see, no.
It seemed like you didn't see any spritzes or sprays. You didn't see any droplets. It seemed like it was perfectly drawn, as though with a paintbrush, perhaps.
I'll spew that at a blinder.
Is your friend Connor a violent individual?
No.
Does he have access to animals? Easy access.
Depends. Rats, mice, maybe. Stray cats, definitely. Anything else? Probably not.
Does he have any family members? Anybody who is living with him or would have been around that has also gone disappeared?
His family has excommunicated him for being unusual.
Was there any evidence of violence?
Just entropy around the area.
Yes, that is.
That's it. No.
And
In order to do that, let me be very clear. In order to perform this action, he would have to sacrifice something. A living thing.
I don't believe he would do
It
that.
could be a rat, or it could be a human.
I don't think that he would do that.
Well, you have the proof right in front of you.
I have the proof that someone did it, and that my friend is missing.
I don't know how well you know your friend, but power can.
Mercy just
Often.
sort of shakes their head and like has their head in their hands. Like, are we seriously talking about like magic here? Is this a thing?
People believe it's a thing.
I mean, I just see a bunch of lines.
Look, Connor told me a few days ago that he would be relocating, and that he would send word when he was in a new place. Now he disappeared, and I haven't seen him since. I've been back to that house twice. This was not there the last time that I was there.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was there this time.
I think your friend is either being held or associating with individuals who are occultists.
Cultists.
Occultists. People who believe in magic.
Oh.
Practice it. Ritual forms.
Yeah, all the, I don't know, dancing around in fancy looking skirts.
Yes. Not to make light of the situation, but whatever. I mean,
So how do we find him? How would I find him? I'm not to drag you all into this, but
do I know if there's a way to Beard, do I know if there's a way to trace this? Like, because presumably he activated the ritual.
Mm-hmm. A primitive form of it.
Him or somebody else, anyway,
Mhm.
activated this ritual and then would have used it. It could have used it anywhere, right?
Well, from what
Or-
you're seeing from the drawings, is they've basically, in order to describe, right, like the secrets that you discovered was that you had to somehow call upon entropic forces, and what you didn't understand until later was that you'd call upon space and time, because time exists simultaneously in both places, and so the missing piece was always how to calculate for time. And in this specific ritual, you see that they're calculating for space, but they're not calculating for time. It would be impossible through this theorem to actually travel from one place to another place. The most that you could hope for is that an object could pass from one place to another. But a living person, because of the lack of time, would die, would suffocate, would cease to exist. in the same way that during your initial tests, the animals and things, bugs and rats and things that you experimented on, how they died.
I think if your friend, there's two likely scenarios I'm willing to think. As I said, this was a novice. This is very novice. So he is either trying to attempt to practice it. If he was the one who did this, he is either trying to practice it, or he is attempting to learn it. If he were to try to attempt to do what this is here, or what he has done here, from what I understand, the result would be death. So he could be dead, and there wouldn't be any trace of him. Or if he was, or if it is all superstition, or perhaps if he just couldn't figure out, or he took some sort of precautions, if it does exist, he might be at the location of whoever taught him, or however he acquired, which is fairly interesting. And I would think that he would, it must be difficult to not know, but if he said he would contact you later, we must believe that he will contact you.
All right. I just know that I didn't like the looks of this when I saw it.
What don't you like? This, the thing, the occult?
Yeah, all that's fucking spooky.
Mercy
Yes.
nods in agreement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hey, so now that we're done looking at it, can we put it away?
If I may,
I'm
keep
with
this
Martin
to-
on this. Maybe put it in a different room. Take it off the boat. I don't know.
Burn
Burn it. Just any of those choices.
Hey, burn it works. We got a stove right over here.
No, there's no need to burn it. We could. I'll keep it in my room. It's all superstitious.
What if it's cursed?
It's,
says Mercy.
There's no such thing as curses.
Yeah, what if there's
There was
actually
no
a
such
that
thing as
comes out of
magic
it?
in here. You are talking about it.
Having like full out like head smart person debates about the shit.
Yes.
Okay, well,
She says, pointing at
you
Martin.
You have a Taikarosi here. If anything's gonna get cursed, it's just gonna hit me.
Oh, you're one of them?
Did you not
I'll
notice
look
his
over
eyes,
and I'll
Martin?
see cat eyes.
Hell, no. No, I didn't see his eyes. Normally I only look at eyes when I'm punching them.
You just
Well, I
staring?
need to- I-
Are you staring
I
at
need to
his
see-
beard? Like what?
What? What? I don't notice things sometimes.
Anyways, what did Malone say? Sorry to I just wanted to know how it went. I presume Carver's probably interested to know too.
Yeah.
If it's not my business, I can excuse myself. I understand.
Well, Reaper, please, you probably remember more about it than I do.
So we're supposed to grab vessels, ghost containers, I guess, from a warehouse that's about to be shipped out in 2 nights. So we have to grab those and either destroy them, keep them, or sell them back to him for double the price that he was going to pay us for our job.
And I got a little bit of spending cash to grease palms.
Did he give you any help? Did he give you the
No.
tip?
No, but if we can make it look like there's two sides involved to this. The side that owns it and a side that it's being delivered to. So if we can make it look like one side did it to the other, we'll get a bonus.
So, I know why he did it. But I don't know if you want to hear it. There was something else that Malone was supposed to tell you, but he didn't tell you, and I presume he didn't tell you because either he thought I would tell you or because he wanted to see if you could do it without his help. So I can keep my mouth shut if you don't want the hint, so that if it's asked, did I help you, you can say no, and then, that'll speak very highly of you. Or I can give you the other bit of information that he was supposed to give to you that he chose not to, probably because he's testing you, as is Malone's way.
Well, or maybe we just randomly find a piece of paper with some stuff written on it.
Well, that's still me telling you.
Who says it's you?
We're not going to lie to him is the point.
I wouldn't lie to him.
All right. I mean, I'm down to know something that'll make a job easier.
If he's testing us, I think we should pass this test.
It's just him, though. That's the thing. It's Rowan told me to tell... Not told me, but told him, when they were having a conversation. And I know a name of the people involved. And the fact that he didn't tell you that name and you're not repeating it to me makes me think he decided that he was going to not tell you in order to see how good you were.
All right, well, why don't we try it with nothing and just see how we do?
I agree.
Because
Sure.
I'm not one to back away from a challenge.
Can I offer something?
Huh.
Why shouldn't we? I understand that we need the Red Sash's support and allyship and doing this for them. We should expect. I am not in this for games. If we have information at our disposal, we should not use it to be more effective.
Well, if he's testing us, he's probably trying to gauge what sort of jobs we can handle. And if we can do this without information, then maybe our next job will be higher paying than just staying at a steady keel.
Hey, and we learned something. Next time,
Even-
make sure to ask more questions.
Exactly.
Even he said that knowledge is power.
I
Would this
am
not,
for,
not give us more power to be able to affect the things that we need to?
How about this? Says Mercy. I'll give you the day. Do your thing. And if by the time tonight rolls around, because you have 2 days, and you haven't figured anything, say midnight, and you haven't figured out what you're looking for, etc., I'll give you the opportunity to ask for the hint again. Because it seems like you're split on this. So how does that feel? Because then you would still have a whole day, to move your plan forward. And, I don't know if a day is enough to get it all done, but still.
Fair.
It's fair enough.
okay.
I don't know. Does the name Strangford ring a bell with anybody?
Martin, that's the
No.
second time you asked that today.
Not Strangford.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
said Scarlock the first time.
Sorry, you're right. I got it confused in my head. Sorry. It's the S name,
Right.
spooky people. Yeah.
Strangford, I think sounds familiar to me.
Yes.
Because evidently he's from Six Towers, but I hear he's doing some moving and shaking as of late. Or at least he's coming in. He's coming in to do some things.
Would you like to do a challenge, Carver, to see what you can remember?
Yeah.
an insight of some variety would make a lot of sense.
We'll go with I don't have study or tinker, so I have hunter survey.
We'll say survey. Either that, or you could just roll your insight stats.
Okay, I'm gonna roll my insight stat.
Sure. They don't have a specific thing for remembering, or at least for remembering stuff. So, or at least I haven't found it yet, or maybe I've forgotten about it. So we're just sort of going off the cuff for this.
4 and a 6.
4 and a 6. So a 6, full success. Lord Strangford is one of the premier and most powerful men, other than the Lord Governor himself, within the city of Duskfall. Lord Strangford is the owner of the largest fleet of Leviathan hunting ships, and his family is powerful.
Yeah. And I regurgivomit that to the group.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so I doubt he has any connection to this because he seems too big a fish to be concerned with
Too big a
anything.
fish.
Anything we're
He's-
dealing with.
He is like equal to the Leviathan, from what I've heard.
Well, hey, you said you're good at gathering information.
Why do you want to know about Strangford? Mercy, cuts you off and says,
Who, me?
yeah.
No, these are just a couple of random names that I've heard over the past
Who did
couple
you
of
hear
days.
Strangford from?
I want to say that I heard it either from you or it was the or it was the information that I got from Chael.
Okay, so you're just talking about the rumor then.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you had new information. Sorry to cut you off, Carver.
No. This
The
is not-
Starlock guy,
like I said, these are just two names that I have heard recently that are new. And
You've never heard of Strangford, Martin?
I've heard of. I know who he is.
Okay.
I'm just trying to see if these new names that I'm hearing repeatedly, well, at least one of them repeatedly, are they don't have anything to do with what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Good.
That's big fish, Martin. That's super big fish.
Yeah.
Strangford is one of the wealthiest, most powerful men in the city.
that's high hanging, not even flowered fruit yet.
That's top of the tree. Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm just making sure that that our first job is not going against an entire tree.
I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about when we talk about Strangford, right? That guy's got his fingers in everything. I think he's on the council. He's huge into trade.
I am looking out for how many people I have to hurt.
I get it. I'm just. Did Blinder want to say something?
I was going to say that it is understandable that you are looking out for perceived threats, but a lot of these names that you've been tossing around, I don't think any of us are really cognizant of, and what's the matter? I think with a laser focus, or I would say laser, but with a focus, should be on the task at hand.
Oh, it is. I like I said, I watch out for people who I gotta hurt. And currently, the only people that I have to hurt currently are the Lampblacks.
Well, yes.
So,
Yeah, but we have to figure out who to pin it on.
Well, there was some talk about pinning it on the gondoliers, but go ahead, please.
I had a suggestion that maybe we could drop some evidence at the scene that would lead them to the conclusion, either indirectly or directly, that the gondoliers set up the job. And so when the gondoliers inevitably go to the Lampblacks demanding compensation, and the Lampblacks would suspect the motivations of the gondoliers, and that would further damage their relationship because they would mistrust each other. The gondoliers are in a weaker position or a stature within the city's underworld, and would have nothing but gain from the Lampblacks' failure. And what better person to set up such a thing than the person who arranged for the shipment in the first place?
So as all of the characters find themselves talking throughout the day about how they may go about this perceived job, obvious to them all, there will be many steps to accomplish what they hope to accomplish. But I think that is a fine point to end our game this evening.